Chapter 274. The human heart is sinister with his good eyesight. Qin Yun had long since noticed that the few people in front of him were heavily injured, and their blood energy was very weak. Furthermore, there was a 13 or 14-year-old girl among them. Her white dress was covered in bloodstains. When Qin Yun saw that fifth uncle was about to charge over, he hurriedly ran over and said coldly, "Look carefully before you make a move. Don't kill the innocent. The people in front are all injured. What do you have to worry about?" When the two heard Qin Yun's words, they were very unhappy. If not for the fact that they could sense Qin Yun's terrifying aura, they would have definitely contradicted him. Although they did not say a word, they did not give Qin Yun a good look. Qin Yun knew that these two middle-aged men were usually in the Lin family. They were most likely the kind of people who were used to being a playboy when they were young. The group that was running also took the opportunity to stop and rest. The people in front were all heavily injured 9th-level martial body cultivators. 4 old men and a young girl looked like they had escaped from the city and were engaged in a fierce battle with the magical beasts. "Don't worry, I have no ill intentions." When Qin Yun saw the few elders, his face was filled with hostility. He hurriedly said, "I'm from the Divine Inscription Palace." When the elders heard Qin Yun say that he was from the Divine Inscription Palace, they felt a lot more at ease. When they saw that Qin Yun was young and very strong, they believed him. A young 9th-level martial body cultivator could only be nurtured by a great power like the Divine Inscription Palace. "We are severely injured. I'm afraid we can't continue. Young hero, please take good care of little Hong. She is my granddaughter, and we're the only ones left in our family." An old man who had lost his arm said, with a sorrowful expression. Qin Yun looked at little Hong, and wiped the blood off her face. Then he took out 2 sets of light inscription equipment and said, "Seniors, each of you take a moment to stabilize your injuries." When the people from the Lin family saw the 2 sets of light inscription equipment, their eyes lit up and they felt unhappy. This was because they were also injured, but Qin Yun did not take it out to heal them. One had to know that light inscription equipment could quickly heal injuries. It was an extremely precious spirit artifact and was something that many martial artists dreamed of. The people of the Lin family were very clear about the value of light inscription equipment. However, this young man in front of them had 2 sets. "Many thanks, young hero," the one-armed old man said excitedly. Qin Yun did not give the light inscription equipment to the people from the Lin family, mainly because they were very cold. Previously, he had killed the demon wolf and saved this group of people. Among them, only Lin Ying came forward to express her gratitude. The others were busy dividing up the demon wolf's flesh and blood. He did not have a good impression of the Lin family. It was only because of Lin Yin's face and the obligation of the Divine Inscription Palace that he agreed to escort them. As for the 4 injured elders in front of him, their attitudes were very good. In particular, they were willing to give up their lives to let Qin Yun take care of the little girl. This made Qin Yun very touched. Soon, the 4 old men's injuries were much better, and they looked very spirited. "Thank you, big brother." In the end, little Hong put on the light inscription equipment and recovered from her injuries. Then, she returned the light inscription clothes made from bee skin to Qin Yun. Little Hong, Er's hair was tied into 2 braids. Her face was round and chubby, and she had a pair of large, watery eyes. She was pretty and adorable. Although the white dress she wore was stained with blood, it did not affect her quick-witted beauty. "You're welcome. In the future, you must practice martial arts well and protect these grandpas." Qin Yun smiled, reminding him of Qi Melian. She was also so pure and lovely. Little Hong hurriedly nodded and revealed a sweet smile. The people from the Lin family were all expressionless and cold. It could be seen that they were not acting very friendly at this moment. "Young Master Yin, the people of our Lin family are all injured. Can you lend us those 2 sets of light inscription equipment? We will use our own crystal coins to replenish the energy of the light inscription equipment." Lin Ying walked over and asked in a low voice. Her eyes were filled with pleading. Qin Yun scratched his head and said, "Well, my light inscription equipment cannot be replenished with crystal coins. I need to infuse it with Vajra inner force. Just now, I gave it to these seniors and has already used up all of its energy. If I want to replenish it, it will take at least 2 or 3 days. Linene looked at the 5th uncle and 6th uncle, bit her lips, and said in a low voice, "We can wait here for a few days for you to replenish the energy of the light inscription equipment. Besides, these old masters also need a few days to recuperate." "All right then." Qin Yun nodded and took out the light inscription equipment. He began to replenish the energy inside. He did not want to lend it to the Lin family. They clearly needed light inscription equipment, but they refused to lend it to them. Instead, they asked Linene to do it. What displeased Qin Yun the most was that the 5th and 6th uncle were obviously not good people. Their attitudes were extremely vile, and they were also extremely arrogant. The place they were at was a dark green grassland. Not far away, there was a small river. The environment was not bad. Because it was on a plain, even if a magical beast appeared, it would be discovered very quickly. The people of the Lin family set up their tents. Their tents were dozens of meters away from Qin Yun. As for Qin Yun, he was with little Hong in company. The few old men were surnamed Ding, and they were 4 brothers. Little Hong, grandfather, was the eldest brother. His name was Ding Yi, and he was the patriarch of a small family. Because they were close to the city gate, the Ding family was the first to suffer when the horde of magical beasts rushed in. "Master Ding, the city's defensive formation was set up by our divine inscription palace. It's definitely not that easy for the magical beasts to break through. Someone must have purposely retracted the formation and opened the city gates to allow the magical beasts to enter," Qin Yun said. Ding Yi and the elders nodded. They also knew that the city gates had been opened by someone. "Indeed, but we don't know who opened the city gates." It was nighttime, and because there was a city protection formation, and the people from the Divine Inscription Palace told us that reinforcements would soon arrive, we relaxed our vigilance at night. Ding Yi sighed in grief and anger. If someone hadn't deliberately opened the city gates, our Ding family wouldn't have suffered such heavy casualties. Second brother Ding let out a sorrowful sigh. Ding Hong is the only one left in our Ding family. He lovingly caressed little Hong's head. Ding Hong was also very strong. She endured the pain of losing her parents and silently felt sad. She did not cry. At night, Ding Yi and company set up their tents and allowed Qin Yun to go in with them. After Qin Yun entered, he handed the 2 sets of light inscription equipment to them and said, "You guys continue using them until you recover." When Ding Yi heard that, he was slightly alarmed and said in a low voice, "What about them? There are a few of them, and their injuries aren't light either. Don't worry about them. They're not good people. I regret being with them. You don't know this, but when they see you, they want to rush over and kill you." Qin Yun grunted. When Ding Yi and company heard this, they looked at each other in dismay. Their faces were filled with surprise. The Lin family is a very large family in the city. Because we don't have much contact with them, we don't know much about the situation of the Lin family's disciples. However, we do know that the Lin family has conflicts with a few other families. Ding Yi said. They did not reject Qin Yun's good intentions. They took the light inscription equipment and began to heal their injuries. Qin Yun only needed a few hours to fill up the energy of the light inscription equipment. There was no need for 2 or 3 days. That was all a lie to the Lin family. Not long after, the 4 elders of the Ding family had more or less recovered from their injuries. However, because Ding had lost his left arm, it was difficult for him to recover. This made Ding Hong very sad. Late at night, Qin Yun continued to inject energy into the light inscription equipment. The 4 elders of the Ding family sat cross-legged on the blanket, resting with their eyes closed. As for Ding Hong, she lay on the soft bee skin and fell asleep amidst her sorrow and exhaustion. After daybreak, Qin Yun continued to forge high-grade body, securing talismans in his tent. The 4 elders of the Ding family and Ding Hong stayed outside, not disturbing Qin Yun's work. Ding Hong was outside on the grassland, chasing birds around. She was no longer that sad, just as she was playing. Suddenly, a red-robed old man flew over from afar. This made Lin Yin and the rest of the Lin family extremely happy. This was the martial Dao realm elder of their Lin family. As soon as the elder arrived, he entered a large tent in the Lin family. When Ding Yi saw this, he hurriedly informed Qin Yun of the matter. When Qin Yun learned of this, he was secretly happy. This way, he would not need to continue escorting the Lin family. As for the Lin family, they were all waiting for his light inscription equipment, so they planned to stay here. Qin Yun was crafting talismans inside the tent and did not know what was happening outside. In the grassland outside, Lin Yin suddenly walked towards Ding Hong Hong. Lin Yin was beautiful and she was very good at talking. Soon, she became very familiar with Ding Hong Hong and brought her play everywhere. Ding Yi and the other 4 elders felt that Ding Hong Hong needed someone to talk to. Seeing that Lin Yin was getting along well with her, they did not say anything. When it was almost evening, Qin Yun suddenly heard a very low cry. He, who was crafting talismans, hurriedly stopped what he was doing and rushed out of the tent. It's little Hong Er's voice. Where is she? Qin Yun looked at Ding Yi outside the tent and asked hurriedly. She and Miss Lin Yin went to play by the river. When Ding Yi saw Qin Yun's anxious face, he suddenly became worried. Qin Yun was sure that he had not heard wrongly. His mental force was very strong. This allowed him to have extraordinary hearing, allowing him to capture weak sounds. When he found out that Ding Hong Hong and Lin Yin were together, he hurriedly rushed to the Lin family's tent. Ding Yi and the other 4 elders also anxiously followed behind. Qin Yun rushed into the large tent at an extremely fast speed because he could sense the auras of Ding Hong Hong and Lin Yin. After rushing in, he saw that inside the large tent, Ding Hong Hong was being pulled left and right by the 5th and 6th uncle. Her clothes were already in tatters. As for the rest of the Lin family, they were drinking and laughing at the same time. Ding Hong Hong was already frightened out of her wits. She was a weak girl and could not break free from the claws of these 2 9th-level martial artists. Lin Yin was holding a wine cup, and her face was flushed red from drinking. When she saw Qin Yun rush in, her expression changed drastically. She hurriedly walked towards Qin Yun and explained, "Young Master Yun, they are just playing with Hong Hong. Everyone has been frightened by the magical beast for the past few days. They are just drinking and having some fun." When she saw Qin Yun's gloomy and terrifying expression, she could not help but cry, "Young Master Yun, this is all my fault. I did not take good care of Hong Hong. Please forgive me. This was all forced by 5th uncle and 6th uncle. I had no choice." Chapter 275. Punishing evil and eliminating evil. The moment Qin Yun entered, he held onto a bone talisman tightly because he knew that there was an old man of the martial Dao realm inside. It was also because of this that the Lin family was so arrogant. Isn't it just teasing this little girl? What's the big deal? It's her fortune that I like her. When the 5th uncle saw how furious Qin Yun and Ding Yi were, he sneered. These words made Qin Yun even more furious. He said in a deep voice, "Uncle Ding, bring little Honger out." Ding Yi and the other 4 elders immediately brought Ding Hong out of the tent. After they left, Qin Yun also left the tent. Just as Qin Yun walked out of the tent, the Lin family members followed closely behind, especially Lin Yin, who followed behind Qin Yun. She kept apologizing and begging for Qin Yun's forgiveness. As for the other members of the Lin family, their faces were filled with sneers, especially the red-robed elder. When he looked at Qin Yun, his eyes were filled with greed. "That little girl's foundation is not bad. Marry me." The 5th uncle smiled sinisterly as he walked over. The red-robed elder was an elder of the Lin family. He stood in front of the group of people from the Lin family with a sinister smile on his face. "What are you doing?" Ding Yi shouted angrily. They could tell that the Lin family had become extremely arrogant because they had a martial Dao realm elder. "What are you doing?" "Of course I want to fuck your granddaughter." "Ha ha ha." 5th uncle laughed sinisterly as he glanced at Qin Yun. "Why? Are you angry? But what can you do? Although you are from the Divine Inscription Palace, you're only at the 9th level martial body realm. I'll take care of this little girl first, and then teach you a lesson. Qin Yun had a spirit essence saber and 2 light inscription equipment. These were all extremely expensive items. When the martial Dao Realm Elder learned that Qin Yun had these items, he decided to kill Qin Yun and Ding. If you take another step forward, don't blame me for being impolite. Qin Yun looked coldly at the 5th uncle and said with a cold voice, Brat, you haven't seen the situation clearly, have you? Even if you have 10 9th level martial body cultivators, you are still not our match. You should kneel down and beg us for mercy. The 5th uncle smiled ferociously and walked toward Ding Yi. His face was full of lust, which scared Ding Hong Hong so much that her face was filled with fear. Qin Yun suddenly took out his spirit essence saber. The blade shimmered with a cold light and a threatening, killing intent, causing the Lin family members to reveal looks of horror. As for the 5th uncle, he didn't seem to care. With a sinister smile on his face, he continued to walk towards Ding Hong Hong. Lin Yin hurriedly pulled Qin Yun and whispered, Young Master Yun, don't do anything stupid. The current situation is very disadvantageous to you. You should cooperate with them. The red-robed old man laughed heartily and said, 5th brother, let that little girl help our Lin family give birth to more descendants. Let our Lin family flourish. Ha! With me here, I guarantee that they won't even be able to touch your clothes. Lin Yin held Qin Yun's arm tightly, worried that he would attack. As for Qin Yun, he was already enraged to the extreme. His face was filled with killing intent, as he said in a low voice, I was really blind to actually save you bunch of bastards, a bunch of bastards who repay kindness with enmity. You saved us yourself. What does it have to do with us? You should be a good person to the end. Give us your saber and those 2 sets of light pattern equipment, huh? 6th uncle laughed complacently from afar. I will send you on your way. Qin Yun's cold voice was filled with endless resentment and anger. It was accompanied by a strong, killing intent that surged in all directions. The spirit essence saber in his hand suddenly flew out of his hand. Like an ice-cold ray of light, it flew towards 5th uncle. With a whoosh, a cold saber light flashed, and 5th uncle's head rolled to the ground. A stream of blood flew into the air. The evil 5th uncle of the Lin family had been killed by Qin Yun. All the members of the Lin family were stunned on the spot. That 5th uncle was a martial artist at the 9th level martial body realm. Although he was slightly injured, he shouldn't have been killed in an instant. Fifth uncle. Lin Yin's eyes were filled with shock as she looked at 5th uncle's head. The red-robed elder was also alarmed. He never expected Qin Yun's saber to be so fast. Furthermore, it had flown over without any warning and beheaded 5th uncle. You killed a member of my Lin family. I will make you suffer a fate worse than death. The red-robed elder was infuriated as he charged at Qin Yun. The other members of the Lin family also charged at Ding Yi and company. Qin Yun ran to the side and threw out a top-grade body, securing talisman, freezing the red-robed elder in place. The moment the red-robed elder was frozen by the body securing talisman, he was alarmed to the extreme. He knew that it was a very powerful talisman. Qin Yun controlled the saber, and with a few swishes, he chopped off the red-robed elder's legs and feet. Then, he carried the giant King Spirit hammer and executed a set of 6-style Forging Dragon. Qin Yun executed the 6-style Forging Dragon. The hammer descended like thunder, stirring up a violent storm and causing the ground to tremble. Such might caused everyone present to be incomparably terrified. A young man at the 9th level martial body realm actually had such power. It had already exceeded everyone's imagination. Don't kill me. I have a magical beast crystal egg. I can give it to you. After all, the red-robed elder was at the martial Dao realm. After suffering such a ferocious attack from Qin Yun, he did not die. However, his injuries were extremely severe. His limbs were severed, his inner core cracked, and his meridians were shattered. Take it out, and I can spare your life, Qin Yun said coldly. Ding Yi and company also hurriedly came behind Qin Yun. When the members of the Lin family saw their elder end up in such a state, They did not dare to approach Qin Yun. Fear was written all over their faces. The red-robed elder wailed as he took out 2 magical beast crystal eggs from his storage spirit artifact. Qin Yun put away the magical beast crystal egg and kicked the red-robed elder's body towards the Lin family. Quickly kill this little bastard. With your strength, you will definitely be able to take them down. After the red-robed elder was caught by the 6th uncle, he roared with hatred, "Whoever can kill him, I will give my storage spirit artifact to that person. Furthermore, I will make him the patriarch of the Lin family." The Lin family members were extremely agitated by the red-robed elder's words as they charged at Qin Yun and company. Attack! Ding! He had been suppressing his anger for a long time. Now that he saw that the martial Dao realm cultivator could not fight, he charged forward together. They were all old martial artists at the 9th level martial body realm. Naturally, they were stronger than the middle-aged martial artists opposite them. Qin Yun planned to control the spirit essence saber to attack the Lin family members from afar. Just as he was about to make his move, he suddenly heard an "ah" cry. It was from Ding Hong's voice. Qin Yun turned around abruptly to look at Ding Hong's back. He saw that she had been captured by Lin Yin. Lin Yin held a dagger to Ding Hong's neck and shouted, "Yun, quickly hand over the magical beast crystal egg you just obtained, and your saber, storage spirit artifact, and light inscription equipment." Qin Yun gritted his teeth. Although he had always been on guard against Lin Yin, he never expected her to suddenly betray him. This was something he had not expected. "Lin Yin, I have truly underestimated you. I could tell that you are not a good person, but I never expected you to be even more ruthless than I imagined," Qin Yun said with a sneer. Ding Yi and company, who had just attacked, were also extremely anxious as they hurriedly retreated to Qin Yun's side. The members of the Lin family rushed over and surrounded Qin Yun, Ding Yi, and the other 4 elders. Their faces were filled with complacency. "Little girl, well done. Quickly make that brat hand over everything." Although the red-robed elder was severely injured, he was extremely excited. "Yun, if you don't hurry up and throw the things over, I'll strip this girl naked." Lin Yin's face was filled with viciousness. "Big brother, don't worry about me. Quickly take grandfather and the others and leave." Lin Hong's face was filled with stubbornness as she shouted, "Hurry up and leave." "Shut up." 6th uncle was infuriated. He walked over and slapped Ding Hong's face. Although Ding Hong's face had been slapped, she did not cry. She looked at Qin Yun with determination, hoping that he would leave quickly. Qin Yun's heart was dripping with blood. He gritted his teeth and threw his spirit essence saber over. When Lin Yin saw the saber land at her feet, she shouted in pleasant surprise, "6th uncle, pick it up and show it to me." 6th uncle's eyes were filled with jealousy as he picked up the beautiful saber and handed it to Lin Yin. Everyone knew that this saber was very strong and could fly out to kill a Class 9 magical beast. Everyone in the Lin family thought that as long as they got their hands on this saber, they would be able to control it and easily kill a 9th grade magical beast. Just as Lin Yin grabbed the hilt of the saber, she suddenly felt a majestic mental strength pour into her body. It instantly poured into her head, causing her vision to turn black and her body to feel weak. Ding Hong hurriedly broke free from Lin Yin and charged towards Qin Yun and company. 6th uncle's reaction was very fast. He immediately extended his hand to grab Ding Hong. Suddenly, the spirit essence saber flashed and flew over, cutting off 6th uncle's hand. "Ah!" 6th uncle screamed in pain. Just as he was shouting, his head was cut off by the saber. Ding Hong finally ran back and threw herself into Ding Yi's arms. "Leave them to me." As Qin Yun spoke, he brandished his saber and flew towards the crowd. When the Lin family members saw the spirit essence saber flying over, they fled in all directions, letting out terrified cries. No matter how fast they were, they could not outrun the flying spirit essence saber. With a series of screams, the people of the Lin family fell one by one. They were all seriously injured by the spirit essence saber. Lin Yin was only at the 7th level martial body realm. Furthermore, she was not on guard against Qin Yun's mental attack. She was knocked unconscious in an instant. When she woke up, she saw the bloody Lin family members everywhere. She was so frightened that she cried out involuntarily. "Young Master Yun, don't kill me, don't kill me. Just treat me as a whore. You can do whatever you want to me. Don't kill me, don't kill me." Lin Yin's face was covered in tears as she begged for mercy. Kill you? I don't even want to dirty my saber." Qin Yin recalled how Lin Yin had tricked Ding Hong Hong into drinking with her. Recalling how Lin Yin had used Ding Hong Hong to threaten him, anger surged in his heart. When she saw Qin Yun's rage, Lin Yin hurriedly shouted, "You are from the Divine Inscription Palace. We are under the protection of the Divine Inscription Palace. You can't kill us." The red-robed elder also shouted, "Your Divine Inscription Palace is a great power. How dare you kill the innocent? You are not innocent, and all of you are villains." Qin Yun sneered as he took out a talisman. At that moment, a group of people appeared in the distance. When the red-robed elder saw them, he shouted in pleasant surprise, "It's the elite guards of the Divine Inscription Palace. We're saved." Chapter 276. Beastman. When Qin Yun saw Zhuo Chuan arrive, he was not in a hurry to make a move. Zhuo Chuan and the dozen or so golden-armored men landed on the ground. When they saw the wounded on the ground, they felt extremely puzzled. "Great Elder, you have to save us. This person claims to be from the Divine Inscription Palace, but he has attacked us so viciously. Furthermore, he wants to violate a woman from a good family." The red-robed elder shouted. His limbs had been severed, and he could only lie on the ground. "Great Elder, quickly save me. This demon wants to kill me. Don't look at how young he is. He's a pervert." Lin Yin hurriedly crawled to Zhuo Chuan's feet and wailed. Lin Yin, the red-robed elder, and the injured Lin family members all begged Zhuo Chuan for help, saying that Qin Yun was an unforgivable evil. "They're lying. Big Brother is not that kind of person." Ding Hong Hong was flustered as she hurriedly shouted at Zhuo Chuan. Lin Yin pointed at Qin Yun and cursed angrily. "He is a pervert. When he saw my outstanding beauty, he wanted to violate me. That's why he attacked my clansmen. He even said that he would marry me and make me his wife." Zhuo Chuan looked at Qin Yun and asked, "Qin Yun, what's going on? Don't you already have a heavenly daughter like Xiao Yuelon as your wife? Why would you still fancy this kind of trash?" When Lin Yin heard Zhuo Chuan's words, she was immediately dumbfounded. The red-robed elder, the Lin family members, Ding Yi and the other 4 elders, and Ding Hong Hong all looked at Qin Yun in a daze. Now, they understood why this youth from the Divine Inscription Palace was so terrifying. It was actually the legendary youth who dared to fight against the Blue Spirit West Palace, the crown prince of the Tianqin Empire. Lin Yin's face turned red. She never expected that Yun was Qin Yun. Everyone knew that Qin Yun had all sorts of heavenly daughters by his side, not to mention a woman with extreme talent like Xiao Yuelon. Even women like Meng Fei Ling and Xue Zai were existences that many disciples of famous sects could not reach. "Great Elder, this matter is like this." Qin Yun simply told Zhuo Chuan the ins and outs of the matter. Zhuo Chuan sneered as he looked at the Lin family members. "This is all your own fault." After he finished speaking, the dozen or so elites walked forward and brandished their golden sabers to slash at the Lin family members. Originally, when Lin Yin and the others saw Zhuo Chuan, they were filled with hope. But now, they felt even more despair. Because right now, it was not Qin Yun who was killing them, but the people from the Divine Inscription Palace. Before Lin Yin died, she regretted her inability to resist her greed. Otherwise, she would not have captured Ding Hong Hong to threaten Qin Yun and would not have been killed. Instead, she would have had a good relationship with Qin Yun. Zhuo Chuan threw a fire talisman at the corpses and said, "Qin Yun, let's go back. I have something important to tell you." Qin Yun nodded. Then he, Ding Yi and company followed Zhuo Chuan back to the Divine Inscription Palace at the peak of the Divine Inscription Mountain. Zhuo Chuan also promised Qin Yun that he would arrange for Ding Yi and company to work in the Divine Inscription Palace. Returning to the divine inscription palace, Qin Yun and Zhuo Chuan were in a secret hall. Zhuo Chuan looked worried and sighed. He drank half a cup of tea and said, "Although the demonic beasts of Mystic Wind City have been dealt with by us, the city has been destroyed. We will find out who let the magical beasts into the city as soon as possible." "Great Elder, you said you had something important to tell me? What's so important? Is it related to the magical beast attack?" Qin Yun asked. "It's related. Do you know who organized the magical beasts that attacked the city this time?" Zhuo Chuan said. "I'm also worried about this matter." Qin Yun was alarmed as he shook his head. "Is there really someone plotting behind the horde of magical beasts? If that's the case, then that's too terrifying." Zhuo Chuan nodded and said, "Strictly speaking, they can't be considered humans. The ones who planned this attack were the Beastmen. According to the clues I found, those Beastmen have mastered a special ability that allows them to control and tame magical beasts." Qin Yun was no stranger to the Beastmen. The Tianqin Empire he resided in faced the threat of the Beastmen from time to time. Back then, he had almost been sent to the border to fight the Beastmen. No one knew how the Beastmen appeared. They only knew that the Beastmen could speak the human language. Most of them could stand upright and walk like humans. They had many human characteristics, and the characteristics of beasts were the most obvious. Beastmen could also cultivate martial arts like humans and obtain great power. The most terrifying thing was that the Beastmen's reproductive ability was very strong, and their growth rate was very fast. Therefore, they had always been a threat to humans. Fortunately, for many years, humans had relied on the power of martial arts to suppress the expansion of the Beastmen's power. Is this true? Qin Yun also understood that Zhuo Chuan was going to tell him something important. If the Beastmen could really control a large number of powerful magical beasts, then it was very likely that humans would not be able to suppress them. Because of the appearance of a large number of magical beasts, humans could only hide in the city. The Beastmen, who had never been able to enter the borders, had also taken the opportunity to enter the borders. This way, the Beastmen would be able to get close to the human cities. If the Beastmen could control a large number of Class 9 magical beasts, it would be difficult for humans to defeat them. Your Tianqin Empire did not withdraw its troops from a border. The Beastmen can control magical beasts. This is very dangerous for the army at the border. Zhuo Chuan said, "Magical beasts use humans as food. If the army at the border is no match for the Beastmen and magical beasts, those soldiers will become their food. When they have stored enough food, they will be able to attack the major cities." "Looks like I have to make a trip to the border to take a look," Qin Yun said with a frown. "I'm afraid that the generals there don't know about this and keep fighting to the death with the magical beasts." Zhuo Chuan nodded and said, "Be careful on your way. With your strength, as long as it isn't a spirit beast, it won't be able to pose a threat to you. I will also conduct research here to see how to deal with the alliance between the Beastmen and magical beasts. Most importantly, I want to find out who opened the city gate. This kind of mole is most likely working together with the Beastmen. It must have been the generous conditions offered by the Beastmen that made some of the influential figures in the city compromise and betray the entire city." When Zhuo Chuan mentioned this matter, he became very angry. The Mystic Wind City was very important to the divine inscription palace. Its defenses were very strong in all aspects. If not for the traitor closing the formation and letting in the magical beasts, it would have been very difficult to break through. "If there's any news, we'll contact you again." "All right, Great Elder, help me bid farewell to little Honger. Tell her that I'll come visit her when I have time." Qin Yun said, "Got it. That girl has a good foundation and is worth nurturing. I will arrange for her to cultivate in the martial way." Zhuo Chuan nodded. With a heavy heart, Qin Yun left the mysterious inscription Spirit Mountain and rushed to the Tianqin Empire. Meng Failing's Meng family was the main force guarding the border. Over the years, they had clashed with the Beastmen army and the Demon Beast army many times. However, it was different this time. The Beastmen were controlling powerful magical beasts to charge at the front. If the humans did not know of their plans, they would most likely suffer greatly. In the storage space of the first bead, Mo was flying around. She was in an extremely good mood because she had 3 magical beast crystal eggs. It was enough for her to eat for a long time. Qin ran through the night as he looked at the storage space. He asked, Mo, do you know anything about the beastmen and magical beasts? Can the beastmen control magical beasts? The fairies came from the demon realm. It was said that they were born from the corpses of totem magical beasts. I don't know what the beastmen you're talking about are. I'll only know after I see them. Mo thought for a moment and shook her head. I know a lot about magical beasts. As long as I see the beastmen and understand how they control magical beasts, I'll have a rough idea of the situation. Right now, Qin could only see the beastmen. The southwest border of the Tianqin Empire was where the beastmen often appeared. Although it was a dangerous place, it was surprisingly prosperous. Because the beastmen also had many treasures on them, they were similar to beasts. Therefore, many people would gather here to capture the lone beastmen. It was said that in many cities on the southwest border, there were beastmen being sold at a high price. Now that a large number of magical beasts had appeared, if one wasn't very strong, many people wouldn't dare to go out alone. They would have to form a large team. After a few nights of rushing, Qin finally arrived at the Demon Imperial City. This was the territory of the Meng family, and the Meng family was now the strongest family in the Tianqin Empire. They were valued by the Emperor, Qinlong. Over the years, the city that the Meng family had built here had developed to a very large scale. This kind of city was usually very prosperous and gathered many martial artists. The city gate only opened a very small door. Even if there were magical beasts, it would not be easy for them to pass through this small door. Qin entered the Demon Imperial City through this small door. There were a lot of people inside because many of the unprotected small cities and small towns in the vicinity had all squeezed in. Fortunately, the Meng family had a very strong management ability and did not cause the crowded city to become very chaotic. I think I came here when I was young. I don't remember. When Qin was young, he often ran around with Qinlong. Because he was injured in order to save Xiao Yuelon when he was young, he lost a lot of his memories. He masked his face, wore a hood and a gray robe, and walked on the crowded streets of the Demon Imperial City, asking for directions to the Demon Imperial Palace. The Demon Imperial Palace was located on the east side of the city. It was a very large villa. At the grand red gate of the palace stood 10 tall and sturdy guards in black armor. Qin walked over and took out a token. When the guards saw it, they panicked, because only the princes had this kind of token. There was a huge change in the Tianqin imperial family. There were only 2 princes, Qin Yun and Qin Tianyi. As for Qin Tianyi, he was under house arrest in the imperial palace, and the only prince who could come out was Qin Yun. There's no need to bow. Bring me in and inform Sister Fei Ling. Qin Yun said in a low voice. Oh right, don't tell her that I'm here. Just say that there's a very important person who wants to see her. I want to give her a surprise. Yes, sir. One of the guards nodded and led Qin Yun into the Demon Imperial Palace. Qin Yun was drinking tea in a living room. The guard had already gone to inform Meng Fei Ling very quickly. The guard returned. He said in a low voice, Your Highness, Eldest Miss said that she wants you to go over because she's quarreling with someone and has no time to come over. Quarrel? With her parents? Qin Yun put down his teacup and stood up. No, she's quarreling with a few inscription masters. The guard said. Chapter 277. Demon King's mansion. Qin Yun followed the guard and passed through a garden filled with flowers. He stepped onto a long corridor built over a pond and saw Meng Fei Ling. She was standing beside a fake mountain by the shore, speaking loudly to a few middle-aged men. Meng Fei Ling was dressed in a blue suit with a long braid hanging behind her waist. Her graceful figure was extremely alluring. At this moment, her charming face was filled with anger as she argued with a few middle-aged men. I've already said that without my permission, you are not allowed to wander around the mansion. If you want to walk around, I'll arrange for someone to accompany you. How can you run around in the prince's mansion as you please? Meng Failing shouted. Little girl, we are the inscription masters responsible for protecting your capital. Show us some respect. A middle-aged man dressed in luxurious red clothes said with a sneer, If you don't apologize to us, you will be responsible if anything happens to this city. Meng Failing said angrily, It's clearly your fault. You ran around in our Wang Fu and even bullied our maidservants. This is not your home, so it's not up to you to strut around here. If you want to apologize, it should be you apologizing to the maids of my mansion. The middle-aged man was slightly angry as he shouted, You want me to apologize to the servants of your mansion? You must be insulting us. Isn't it just a few maids? It's her fortune that I like her. You must know that we are all intermediate-level inscription masters, and our statuses are very high. Meng Failing was filled with anger as she continued to argue with the middle-aged men. Qin Yun found it strange and asked the guard beside him, What's going on with these inscription masters? Have they always been like this? The guard said, The inscription master who was originally in charge of our demon imperial city went missing, so we hired a new group of inscription masters to come over. Although they are only intermediate-level inscription masters, their standards are pretty good and they have a lot of experience in maintaining the formation. However, their attitude has always been very bad. They have bullied the maidservants of our mansion a few times. Eldest Miss has endured them for a long time. Today, she really can't take it anymore, so she quarreled with them. Qin Yun stroked his chin and asked, Did these inscription masters just arrive? The guard nodded. 7 days ago, because there were magical beasts attacking the city from time to time, the defensive formation often needed to be maintained and inspected. Now that it was so chaotic outside, it was not easy to find an inscription master. No matter how vile they were, they could only endure it. If there is no team of inscription masters to protect the formation, the entire city will be in danger. All right, you can go back, Qin Yun said. After the guard left, Qin Yun passed through the corridor and came to the side of the fake mountain. The angry Meng Failing did not notice Qin Yun behind her. However, the few middle-aged inscriptionists saw Qin Yun coming. You, this servant, are really lacking in discipline. You can come and go as you please. The red-clothed middle-aged man shouted at Qin Yun. He had lost a lot of face after being scolded by Meng Failing, so he could only vent his anger on Qin Yun. Meng Failing turned her head and saw a familiar face. She was pleasantly surprised and shouted, Qin Yun, why are you here? I was passing by, so I came to see Sister Failing, Qin Yun said with a smile. Meng Failing looked at the middle-aged inscription masters and said with a sneer, You guys sure have guts. This is the crown prince of the Tianqin Empire. The red-clothed middle-aged man did not think much of it and sneered. So what? He was expelled by the Star Xianwu Academy. It could be seen that the Star Xianwu Academy did not value him at all. So what if it's a crown prince? His safety here still depends on us. If we don't protect the city's great defensive formation, he won't dare to stay here for long. The Tianqin Empire is currently being attacked by magical beasts, and all the cities are in danger. What can the crown prince do other than consume the empire's resources? He does have some strength, but can he guarantee the safety of a city? Only we can guarantee the safety of a city. Another middle-aged man mocked loudly. He seems to be an inscription master as well. However, he was only a beginner-level inscription master. It was difficult for him to reach the intermediate level. One must know that a mid-grade spirit array is extremely difficult. At most, he can only refine some mid-grade spirit inscriptions or refine some clumsy mid-grade spirit artifacts. That's right, with his sloppy appearance. If he doesn't go into seclusion and study hard, I'm afraid he won't be able to become an intermediate-level inscription master by the time his hair turns white. In this day and age, the crown prince is no big deal. We inscription masters who can guarantee the safety of a city are much more honorable than a crown prince like you. These middle-aged inscription masters constantly mocked and ridiculed Qin Yun. They did not place Qin Yun in their eyes at all. Meng Failing was extremely angry when she saw this, but she could not refute it. She knew very well that the great formation of the demon imperial city needed to be maintained at all times. Otherwise, it would be easily broken by the magical beasts. Are you really intermediate level inscription masters? Qin Yun asked with a faint smile. Of course. The red-clothed middle-aged man said proudly, My name is Xia Yusen. You can ask around about my name. Amongst the intermediate level inscriptionists, I can be ranked in the top 5. There are some intermediate level inscriptionists, but compared to me, their level is far too lacking. Meng Failing did not say a word because she knew that Qin Yun was still very strong in the Tao of inscriptions. Just the storage spirit artifact that he forged was something that many people yearned for. Then may I ask, Master Xia, what is the highest level spirit artifact that you can forge right now? Qin Yun asked. I'm also an inscription master. How about we compete? Xia Yusen was an inscription master. He had also heard that Qin Yun had forged a very powerful spirit artifact. For example, the giant king spirit hammer was extremely powerful. It was said that it was close to the level of a high-grade spirit artifact. However, he did not believe that Qin Yun had forged it himself. He believed that someone was secretly helping Qin Yun. As for the storage bag that Qin Yun had forged, he rather approved of it. As for the storage bag, it was not a spirit artifact used in battle, so it could not be used for comparison. I know, you have a pretty good giant king spirit hammer. However, everyone knows that this giant king spirit hammer was not forged by you. Furthermore, you have no evidence to prove that it was forged by you. If you were to use this giant king spirit hammer to compare, then I would naturally lose. Xia Yusen sneered. Previously, when Qin Yun and Lan Fengjin had gone to the Divine Inscription Palace, he had been able to refine royal-grade bone steel on the spot. This was originally a very sensational matter. However, the high-ranked inscriptionists present at that time had concealed this matter and did not publicize it. They were mainly afraid that they would be laughed at. Therefore, Xia Yusen did not know about this matter. That was why he looked down on Qin Yun so much. Qin Yun took out his spirit essence saber and said with a smile, I won't use the giant king spirit hammer. I'll just use my saber. How about it? My saber's grade isn't high. It's almost a mid-grade spirit artifact. Take a look. Xia Yusen and the others took the saber and looked at it. They all nodded their heads. Although there was no expression on his face, he was secretly surprised in his heart. This was because this saber was forged very well and its overall level was very high. The best I've refined is my Vajra shield. If your saber can leave a mark on my escape, then I'll concede defeat. Xia Yusen took out a golden round shield and placed it in front of him. Xia Yusen was in the martial Dao realm. With such an escape technique, he could infuse the power of the martial Dao realm into the round shield, making it even stronger. Qin Yun was only at the 9th level martial body realm. Even if the weapon in his hand was a high-grade spirit artifact, it would not be easy for him to leave a mark on the round shield. Little brother Yun, don't compete with them. This fellow is in the martial Dao realm. A spirit artifact will become even stronger in his hands. This is not fair at all. Meng Failing stepped forward and pulled Qin Yun. She was worried that Qin Yun would be tricked by the other party. It's fine, I'll definitely win. Qin Yun smiled. Xia Yusen laughed loudly and said, Crown Prince, even if you lose, it doesn't matter. After all, the difference between you and me is too great. Right now, I'm just letting you experience the power of an intermediate inscription master. I'll let you know your own weak refining skills. Master Xia, are you ready? If you're ready, I'm going to chop it down. Qin Yun said with a smile. He was not the slightest bit provoked by the other party's mocking words. Arrogance is the common problem of you pampered children. Forget it. I'll teach you a lesson today and let you know that there's always someone better than you. Xia Yusen smiled proudly. Come on, ruthlessly hack at my Vajra shield. He grabbed the round shield and placed it in front of him. He secretly injected his martial Dao realm power into the round shield, forming an energy barrier that secretly protected the round shield. Qin Yun released the Nether Sun Internal Supreme Force and infused it into the saber. Then, he executed the wind-slashing thunder style and slashed at the round shield. When Xia Yusen and company saw Qin Yun's saber slash down, their expressions changed drastically. This kind of power was truly terrifying. It did not seem like something that a ninth-level martial body cultivator could release. Meng Failing was also stunned by Qin Yun's strength. She knew that Qin Yun was at the ninth-level martial body realm, but she never expected him to be so terrifying. The moment Qin Yun slashed down, the water in the pond trembled violently as it churned. Following that, a gust of wind blew, bringing with it a bolt of lightning that entered the blade. With an explosive sound, the saber seemed as though it was about to split the earth apart as it revealed the Vajra shield in Xia Yusin's hand. Boom! The blade struck the round shield, producing a blinding light. The loud sound caused the water in the pond to splash everywhere. The resulting gust of wind blew down a few trees by the pond. Qin Yun retracted his saber and smiled faintly. Master Xia, your Vajra shield isn't Vajra. Xia Yusin's hand that was holding the shield was trembling slightly. As for his Vajra shield, there was actually a large hole in it. Many cracks had appeared on it, and it looked like it was about to be crippled. Meng Failing suppressed the shock in her heart and said with a charming smile, "This Vajra shield is too weak. If little brother Yun hadn't restrained his strength, you might have been hacked to death just now. This doesn't count." When Xia Yusin saw his precious shield being destroyed, he flew into a rage and shouted, "You're cheating. You deliberately released all of your strength into your saber and destroyed my Vajra shield. Compensate me for my Vajra shield." Chapter 278. Seeing through the scheme, Xia Yusin and the others were enraged to the extreme. They were intermediate-level inscriptionists who could maintain the formation. They had never suffered such humiliation before. "All right, if you don't pay, then we'll leave this city. Let's see who you find to maintain the formation. When the entire city is attacked by the magical beasts, it's all your fault, Crown Prince," Xia Yusin said with a sneer. Meng Failing hurriedly pulled Qin Yun with a helpless look in her eyes. Although she hated these middle-aged men, they could maintain the formation. That formation was related to the safety of millions of people in the entire capital. If Xia Yusin and the others left, there would be no one to maintain the formation. Once there was a problem with the formation and the magical beasts attacked, the entire city would be in danger. If you want to leave, then leave. In this world, you're not the only ones who know how to maintain the formation, Qin Yun said nonchalantly. He himself was a high-level inscription master. He could do it by himself if an intermediate inscription master could. Meng Failing did not say a word. She only felt that Qin Yun had other methods. After all, Qin Yun was stronger than her. Furthermore, he was an inscription master and the Tianqin Crown Prince. He definitely had a way to ensure the operation of the formation. Xia Yusin and company were stunned when they saw Qin Yun chase them away. They thought that Qin Yun would apologize to them and compensate for the loss of the Vajra shield. Not far away, a few old men appeared. "Little brother Yun, the elders of our Meng clan are here. Father and grandfather are not here. They're in charge of handling the matters of Demon Imperial City," Meng Failing said in a low voice. Xia Yusin and company also saw the elders of the Meng clan in the distance and immediately felt a lot more at ease. They understood these seniors very well. They would definitely consider the overall situation and keep them here. The leader was an old man from the Meng clan. He was tall and thin, with white hair and a youthful face. Although he was old, there weren't many wrinkles on his face. He was dressed in a clean and tidy white robe, making him look even more spirited. The old man was Meng Failing's grandfather's younger brother, Meng Tao. "Granduncle," Meng Failing shouted. Qin Yun hurriedly walked over and greeted the 5 elders. "Qin Yun, Qin Long's incredible son?" Meng Tao looked at Qin Yun and nodded. "That's me." Qin Yun smiled. Although he was the crown prince, he had to respect these seniors very much. After all, they had guarded the borders for many years. They had repelled the Beastman army many times, allowing the Tianqin Empire to be at peace for many years. "You guys came at the right time. This crown prince is very arrogant. He actually wants to drive us away." Xia Yusin hurriedly stepped forward took out his broken Vajra shield, and explained what had just happened. After the several elders of the Meng family heard this, they roughly knew what happened. However, they were rather surprised by Qin Yun's strength. He was actually able to destroy a decent mid-grade spirit artifact like the Vajra shield to such a state. When Xia Yusen saw the elders of the Meng family, his face revealed a troubled expression. He added oil to the fire and said, "Seniors, you have to think it through. Don't let this city fall because of a mere crown prince's willfulness. Millions of people will die because of this. Previously, the people of Mystic Wind City were impolite to us. After we left, the entire city fell into enemy hands and was destroyed by the horde of demonic beasts." When Qin Yun heard Mystic Wind City, his heart palpitated. Mystic Wind City was a city protected by the Divine Inscription Palace. Because someone opened the city gates from the inside and closed the formation, it was breached by the demonic beasts. As for Xia Yusen and the others, they were actually in charge of the operation of the Mystic Wind City's formation. When Qin Yun thought of this and saw Xia Yusen's vile character, he could not help but suspect that Mystic Wind City had fallen because of them, and now they were actually going to attack Demon Imperial City. Meng Tao looked at Qin Yun and said with a frown, "Crown Prince, why don't we each take a step back? We will compensate for the loss of the Vajra shield. Then, you can let them stay and continue to maintain the operation of the formation. How about it? Old Meng, are you saying that I have the right to decide whether they stay or leave?" Qin Yun asked. He thought that these seniors would not listen to him. "You are the Crown Prince, the future Emperor of Tianqin. Qin Long came here before and told us to follow you and trust you." Meng Tao sighed. "I hope you don't disappoint us." Qin Yun nodded. He said, "Since that's the case, please do as I say for my elders. First, pass down the order to strictly guard all the city gates and close them tightly. You can only enter the city and not leave. Send the strongest forces to guard the city gates. It's best if they're martial Dao realm cultivators. Second, capture Xia Yusen and the others. The elders of the Meng family, Meng Fei Ling, Xia Yusen and company were immediately stunned. They did not understand why Qin Yun had given these orders. "Little brother Yun, you aren't joking, are you?" Meng Fei Ling said in a low voice. She also noticed that Meng Tao and the other elders were filled with doubts about Qin Yun's orders. "Please do as I say," Qin Yun said seriously with a solemn expression. Meng Tao thought for a moment and said, "Crown Prince, can you tell us why you are doing this? Especially the few masters who captured Xia Yusen. I am filled with questions and dissatisfaction about this. Because they are the inscription masters we invited and are in charge of the operation of the formation. The formation is related to the fate of the entire city. Furthermore, it's not easy to find an inscription master during this period of time. If we capture them, we'll protect the formation." Xia Yusen said proudly. "Qin Yun, don't bully us. I know you have complaints about us, but don't cause millions of people in the city to be harmed because of your personal grudges. You are truly a muddle-headed and incompetent crown prince. If you were to become the emperor of Tianqin, Tianqin would be destroyed very soon. We are the most powerful intermediate inscription masters. We will not allow you to bully us. Please apologize to us. Otherwise, we will leave Demon Imperial City immediately." Meng Tao and company did not say a word. They wanted to see how Qin Yun would respond. "Since you are the strongest intermediate inscription masters, then take out your intermediate inscription master badges first." Qin Yun looked at Xia Yusen and said with a sneer, "I don't recognize you as the strongest intermediate inscription masters." Xia Yusen immediately took out a silver badge. The badge flickered with silver light. It was indeed a genuine intermediate inscription master badge. "What about them?" Qin Yun pointed at the other middle-aged men. "This." Xia Yusen was momentarily speechless. Qin Yun said with a sneer, "Are they really inscription masters?" Xia Yusen said angrily, "Of course they are inscription masters. They just kept a low profile and didn't participate in the Divine Inscription Palace's examination. So they don't have badges, but they are all very strong intermediate inscription masters." Qin Yun laughed out loud. I don't believe your nonsense. There are many benefits to passing the Divine Inscription Palace's examination. Would you not go? Furthermore, this is also the most direct way to prove your strength. You don't have badges, so don't talk so much nonsense. I think you are all liars. As soon as you arrived at the Meng clan, you bullied the maidservants here. It's fine if you don't have an inscription master like you. Xia Yusen was flustered and exasperated as he shouted at Meng Tao. Old Meng, you'd better chase Qin Yin away. This muddle-headed crown prince has ill intentions. Seeing how powerful your Meng family is, he is worried that you will affect his power in the future. Therefore, he is going to destroy the powerful royal city that you have built. Such a person is not worthy of your loyalty. Meng Tao and the other elders frowned. Meng Failing was enraged and shouted, "Shut up! Little brother Yin is not the kind of person you say he is. He is not greedy for power and is very good to others. As for you, you bullied a few maidservants of our Meng family. This is the truth. With your conduct, you actually have a nerve to talk about others. We are in a difficult position." Meng Tao sighed. He did not know how to deal with this and said, "Why don't we wait for Boss Meng to return?" Boss Meng was Meng Failing's grandfather, the Demon King. "Old Meng, you must do as I say. Otherwise, Demon Imperial City will be in danger." Qin Yin said hurriedly, But if we capture them, who will protect the formation?" Although Meng Tao was somewhat dissatisfied with Qin Yun's actions, he could not say anything. When Xia Yusen saw that Meng Tao did not follow Qin Yun's instructions, he felt very pleased and felt a lot more at ease. "I will maintain the formation." As Qin Yun spoke, he took out a golden badge and said, "I am a high-level inscription master. I can also maintain the great formation that they can maintain. Furthermore, I have a very good relationship with the great elder of the Divine Inscription Palace. I will send a messenger pigeon to him and have him send the best team of inscription masters over as soon as possible." The badge in Qin Yun's hand flickered with a golden light. It was extremely dazzling, causing everyone to be shocked into a daze. Meng Tao and the others were experienced and knowledgeable elders. They could naturally tell that the golden badge was real. It was indeed Qin Yun's own high-ranked inscription master badge. Otherwise, it would not have emitted such a bright golden light. Meng Failing never expected that not only was Qin Yun's cultivation stronger than hers, he had also become a high-ranked inscription master. At this moment, other than shock, she was also incomparably excited. This is impossible. You're just a 17-year-old brat. How could you be a high-ranked inscription master? You must have used some sort of method to create this badge." Xia Yusen shouted. He had already spent most of his life becoming an intermediate-level inscription master. And to become a high-ranked inscription master, that was even more difficult. Therefore, he did not believe that Qin Yun was a high-ranked inscription master. "Granduncles, is this a real badge?" Meng Failing was also somewhat suspicious because this was simply too unbelievable. Qin Yun handed the badge to Meng Tao and said, "Elder Meng, please inspect it. I definitely have the ability to maintain the formation." Meng Tao took the badge and examined it carefully. He even handed it over to the other elders and examined it with them. After a careful examination, they were certain that this was a real badge. However, they still could not believe that Qin Yun was a high-ranked inscription master. Xia Yusen shouted, "Don't be fooled by Qin Yun. If he was a high-ranked inscription master, this matter would have already caused a stir. Furthermore, the Star Xianwu Academy would not have chased him out." The few elders of the Star Xianwu Academy did indeed know that Qin Yun was a high-ranked inscription master. However, they did not dare to publicize this matter because they would be ridiculed by others for expelling a young high-ranked inscription master. Chapter 279. Proof Qin Yun did not want to refine a high-grade spirit artifact because it would take some time. He also wanted Meng Tao and the others to pass on the order to seal the Demon Imperial City as soon as possible. When Xia Yusen saw how serious Qin Yun was, he still did not believe him. He said, "I want to see what tricks you used to create a high-grade spirit artifact. I'm not doing it for you to see. I'm doing it for Old Meng and the others. As long as they believe that I'm a high-ranked inscription master, it's fine. As for you guys, believe it or not, Xia Yusin and the others did not think much of it, because even middle-aged inscription masters like them could not refine a high-grade spirit artifact. They could not do it, so they believed that the 17-year-old Qin Yun would not be able to do it either. Sister Failing, you don't seem to have a decent spirit artifact. I'll refine one for you. What kind of weapon do you need? Qin Yun said to Meng Failing with a smile. Meng Failing was taken aback as she said, "Little brother Yun, is this true? Can you really refine a high-grade spirit weapon?" To her, this was simply inconceivable. This was because normally, those who could use high-grade spirit artifacts were all seniors with high status in the clan. A junior like her would need to work hard for many years to serve the clan before she could be rewarded. Furthermore, it was a relatively old spirit artifact. To hire a high-grade inscription master to refine a high-grade spirit artifact, one would need to use a lot of crystal coins and other things. The reason why Qin Yun had refined a high-grade spirit artifact for Meng Failing was partly because she had taken care of Qi Meiyan at the Star Xianwu Academy, and partly to help her consolidate her position in the Meng family. She was a woman. No matter how good her aptitude was, the older generation would more or less value men over women. If she obtained a high-grade spirit artifact forged by Qin Yun, she would not only be a friend of the Tianqin Crown Prince, but also a friend of a high-ranked inscription master. Furthermore, if Qin Yun gave the high-grade spirit artifact to Meng Failing, the elders of the Meng family would be very happy. After all, Meng Failing was also a member of their Meng family. I want a good whip, can I? I heard that whips are the hardest to refine, so it's not easy for me to find whips. Meng Failing said in a low voice, "If that's not possible, then forget it. Just forge a sword or something." Qin Yun said with a smile, "I have never refined a whip before. I will give it a try." The difficulty of refining whips was indeed very high, so it was very rare to see whips among the high-grade spirit weapons. When the Meng family elders heard that Qin Yun wanted to refine a whip, they were moved. If he could really refine it, then this level would be very high even among high-ranked inscriptionists. Xia Yusin and the others were very disdainful. They would never believe that Qin Yun could forge a high-grade spirit artifact, much less a whip at the level of a high-grade spirit artifact. To Qin Yun, refining a high-grade spirit artifact was not difficult. He could even refine the giant King Spirit Hammer, which was even harder to refine than a high-grade spirit weapon. Refining a whip now was just a new attempt. When Meng Failing saw Qin Yun, she took out a large white, long object from her storage space. It looked like a thick rope and asked, "What is this? Are you going to use it to make a whip?" "This is a beast tendon," Qin Yun said with a smile as he took out a few beast tendons that were as thick as an arm. Meng Tao said in surprise, "This is the tendon of a spirit beast, and it's the thickest tendon at that. Each spirit beast only has one tendon, and the main tendon here comes from a few spirit beasts." Qin Yun smiled and did not reply. Instead, he twisted the beast tendon together and turned it into a huge white rope, like a fried dough twist. The expressions of Xia Yusin and company changed. That was because Qin Yun had a certain level of skill to be able to produce such precious materials. Just using beast tendons? Meng Failing did not know much about artifact forging. In this aspect, she was just a child as she asked Qin Yun curiously. "Of course not. The purpose of the beast tendons is to make the whip more flexible." Qin Yun took out a large pile of bone steel and said, "A spirit artifact needs to be refined with some bone steel. Top-grade bone steel." Xia Yusin's heart trembled as he shouted. Even intermediate-level inscriptionists like them might not be able to obtain that much top-grade bone steel. Meng Tao was also shocked. "Didn't you want to forge a high-grade spirit artifact? Just use high-grade bone steel. Using top-grade bone steel will only increase the difficulty. I don't have that much high-grade bone steel on me, so I'll use top-grade bone steel. It's about the same anyway." Qin Yun grinned and said indifferently. After he obtained the mental resonance Xian pen, inscribing spirit inscriptions became even easier. Even if he were to inscribe spirit inscriptions on top-grade bone steel, he would not find it too difficult. The high-grade bone steel was thrown into the furnace by Qin Yun to burn. The temperature of the furnace was very high, and the flames inside were extremely terrifying. Meng Tao, Xia Yusen, and the others who were at the martial Dao realm were only about 10 meters away from the furnace. However, they were enveloped by the heat of the furnace and felt very hot. Qin Yun secretly used the nether sun flame and fused it with the purple flames. Not only was the temperature high, it also released a very strong heat wave. The top-grade bone steel in the furnace turned into liquid after being burned by the nether sun purple flame for an hour. The furnace was nearly as tall as a person, and it was very big. After Qin Yun opened the lid of the furnace was filled with a thick golden liquid. It was top-grade bone steel that had been melted. This was also the first time Qin Yun had released flames to the extreme. He never expected that he would be able to turn top-grade bone steel into liquid so quickly. He was also surprised by this. Impossible. He only has a cultivation at the 9th level martial body realm. How could he turn top-grade bone steel into liquid so quickly? Xia Yusen's expression was as though he had seen a ghost, filled with astonishment. Meng Failing said proudly, "Little brother Yun has totem tattoos, and it's a heavenly lion totem at that. What's so strange about that?" Xia Yusen and company were secretly envious of this kind of flame. It could indeed bring great convenience to artifact forging. After Qin Yun opened the lid, he stuffed the main tendon of the spirit beast into the furnace. The originally thick beast tendon began to shrink after entering the furnace, crazily absorbing the liquid of the top-grade bone steel. Only when the beast tendon was completely stuffed into the furnace did Qin Yun close the lid and continue to heat it up. During the heating process, the large beast tendon was constantly contracting and absorbing the bone steel. Qin Yun heated the furnace for 4 hours. There was only the beast tendon left in the furnace. Just as he was about to open the lid, with a kacha sound, the furnace actually cracked. No one was surprised that the furnace had suddenly cracked. After all, Qin Yun had been constantly using that terrifying flame to heat the furnace. It would be strange if it did not crack. Sigh, it's finally broken. I can change to a new one. Qin Yun sighed softly before taking out the extremely hot beast tendon from the furnace. The originally thick beast tendon had now become much thinner and was as thick as an arm. Qin Yun placed the beast tendon on the platform and used the giant king spirit hammer to execute the 6-style forging dragon. He hammered at the beast tendon. Under his ferocious hammering, the beast tendon gradually became thinner. When he was forging, he was extremely engrossed and did not pay attention to his surroundings at all. As for the onlookers, Xia Yusen, Meng Tao, and the others, they were all shocked by his terrifying hammer technique. Every time the hammer fell, it was as if it was striking their hearts. The fake mountain at the side was struck by the energy shockwave again and again. Not long after, it shattered. Xia Yusen's expression turned ugly. As long as one wasn't blind, they could tell that Qin Yun's artifact forging skills were exquisite. At this level, even an old high-ranked inscription master might not be able to compare to him. At the same time that Meng Failing was surprised, she was even more excited. This was because she would soon be able to use a high-grade spirit artifact. Furthermore, it was her favorite whip. Meng Tao and the other experienced and knowledgeable seniors were also shocked by Qin Yun's talent. They remained silent for a long time. They felt that their understanding of the world was still too little. After more than 4 hours of hammering by Qin Yun, the beast tendon finally became as thick as a normal whip. It was a pure white whip. Although there were no spirit inscriptions carved on it, it was still very beautiful. Even without spirit inscriptions, this whip is still very powerful. Meng Tao praised. The whip was originally made from a few main tendons of spirit beasts, and then fused with top-grade bone steel. Finally, it was tempered thousands of times. Just the materials alone were comparable to many famous top-grade spirit artifacts. Xia Yusen's heart trembled when he saw this. He was an intermediate-level inscription master, so he understood what Qin Yun's level meant. This was no longer an ordinary high-level inscription master. He was an existence that could aspire to become a spirit-level inscription master. "What kind of spirit inscriptions do you want to inscribe?" Meng Failing said with a smile. "Little brother Yun, you're really amazing. You finished the whip so quickly. You're just short of inscribing spirit inscriptions." The other inscription masters would have to struggle for several days before they could even produce a rough embryo. Meng Tao and the others nodded. An elder from the Meng family looked at Qin Yun with admiration and said, "Your Highness, you should be able to forge a top-grade spirit artifact now, right? The entire whip already has the foundation of a top-grade spirit artifact." "Not yet. I'm still unable to inscribe 7 sets of spirit inscriptions on a spirit artifact." Qin Yun shook his head. A spirit artifact with 5 or 6 sets of spirit inscriptions was a high-grade spirit artifact. A top-grade spirit artifact would require 7 or 8 sets of spirit inscriptions. "It's going to be very soon. You're still so young anyway," Meng Tao said. Qin Yun smiled and said, "I'm going to start inscribing spirit inscriptions." He took out the mental resonance Xian pen and injected the power of the blood soul into it. A ball of light appeared and enveloped his hand, preventing others from seeing the spirit inscriptions. When inscribing the dark lines, one had to conceal them well. Otherwise, others would steal the spirit inscriptions. Qin Yun quickly finished inscribing the first set of spirit inscriptions. In less than an hour, ever since he had refined the Spirit Lion King, the inscriptions had become smoother and smoother. The following inscriptions were also completed very quickly. "What's the first set of spirit inscriptions?" Meng Failing asked. "High-grade thunder inscriptions," Qin Yun said with a smile. "When you whip, you can unleash the power of thunder and lightning." To be able to inscribe high-grade thunder inscriptions on a spirit artifact, it must be a spirit artifact with a very violent attack power. Even Meng Tao and the other seniors were envious. Xia Yusin saw that Qin Yun had used such a short period of time to inscribe a set of high-grade thunder inscriptions. Chapter 280. Recognition. After Qin Yun finished inscribing the lightning runes, he rested for a moment before continuing to inscribe the second set of spirit inscriptions. It took him a total of 12 to 14 hours to finally finish refining Meng Feiling's whip. At this moment, the sky was already dark. To many high-grade inscriptionists, refining a high-grade spirit artifact was not easy. It would take at least a few days. As for Qin Yun, he had only used half a day to finish refining it. "Sister Failing, I have carved Thunder Talisman, Poison Mark, Body Securing Mark, Berserk Mark, Fire Mark, and Strength Mark. You need to familiarize yourself with using these spirit inscriptions." Qin Yun wiped his sweat and continued. "The whip is not as domineering as the saber and hammer. It is mainly inclined towards flexibility. When you whip out, you can use different spirit inscriptions according to the opponent's situation. You can also change the abilities of various spirit inscriptions to catch the opponent off guard." Meng Feiling's charming eyes were like silk as she giggled and said, "Little brother Yun, I really don't know how to thank you for giving me such a good thing. Last time you gave me a storage bracelet. I haven't even given you enough compensation. We are friends, it's not a problem. What's more, you helped me take care of little Mei Lian," Qin Yun said with a smile. Meng Tao said, "Crown Prince, we can't take your things for nothing. We can't afford such a precious item." The other old men nodded in agreement. For Qin Yun to be able to refine a high-grade spirit artifact in such a short period of time, he would be able to obtain it very quickly. He wouldn't need to wait for a long time. Therefore, the elders of the Meng family also wanted to have a good relationship with Qin Yun. In the future, if the Meng family wanted a spirit artifact, they wouldn't have to beg other inscription masters like their grandson. Qin Yun was the crown prince and an inscription master, but he did not put on any airs. He and Meng Feiling were siblings, so the elders of the Meng family had a very good impression of Qin Yun. They suddenly felt that there was nothing wrong with marrying Meng Feiling to Qin Yun as a concubine. Qin Yun thought of little fairy Mo in his storage space and said, "All right then, I'm lacking magical beast crystal eggs right now. If you have any, give me one or two." Meng Tao hurriedly took out 3 magical beast crystal eggs and handed them to Qin Yun. When Qin Yun saw the 3 magical beast crystal eggs, he revealed a happy smile. He hurriedly thanked them politely before putting them into his storage space. When Mo saw 3 more magical beast crystal eggs, she felt like she was going to die of happiness. She bounced around the magical beast crystal eggs and laughed nonstop. "Old Meng, can we capture them now?" Qin Yun looked at Xia Yusen and company and asked. Meng Tao hurriedly nodded and signaled the elders behind him to capture Xia Yusen and the others. "We are inscription masters," Xia Yusen immediately said angrily. "Even if you don't welcome us, you can't capture us. We are protected by the divine inscription palace." Xia Yusen's face was filled with panic. He released the aura of a martial Dao realm cultivator as he prepared to resist. "Qin Yun, I admit that you are a high-ranked inscription master, but for you to exclude your peers like this is a taboo. If this matter were to spread, you would definitely be cursed by other inscription masters." Xia Yusen said angrily to Qin Yun, "We only have a small grudge. You actually use your authority as the crown prince to oppress me. You shameless villain." Xia Yusen's flustered and exasperated appearance made Qin Yun laugh. "Old Meng, capture them. It doesn't matter even if you injure them. If the outside world questions it, just say that they are molesting the maids of the Wang residence." Qin Yun said. A few elders from the Meng family had already made their move. They used chains that were specially used to bind powerful beasts to tie up Xia Yusen and company. Xia Yusen and company were unable to resist at all. Those few elders were too strong. Old Meng passed down the order to seal off the entire royal city. You can only enter and not leave. If the people who come in are of the martial Dao realm, you must keep an eye on them. Qin Yun said with a serious expression. "Good. I'll make the arrangements now." Meng Tao asked an old man to pass the order. Then he looked at Xia Yusen and company and asked, "Crown Prince, can you tell us why you are doing this? Now that these fellows have been arrested, you can feel free to say it." The other 3 elders from the Meng family also looked at Qin Yun with puzzlement. "Seniors, you should already know that Mystic Wind City has been attacked by a horde of magical beasts." Qin Yun looked at Xia Yusen and said with a sneer, "These fellows have come here with ill intentions." Meng Failing asked, "Mystic Wind City is under the protection of the Divine Inscription Palace, but it was actually breached by the magical beasts. This is truly inconceivable. There are traitors in Mystic Wind City. Someone opened the city gates from the inside, and the great defensive formation was also closed. That's why it was breached by the magical beasts." When Qin Yun said this, Xia Yusen's eyes flickered as he revealed a trace of fear. Qin Yun continued, "These fellows had previously maintained the great formation in Mystic Wind City. Therefore, it's very likely that they were the ones who did it. There are also inscription masters in Mystic Wind City who are protecting the formation. They must have used some tricks to enter the core of the formation." When Meng Tao heard this, he was immediately enraged. His eyes were filled with killing intent as he stared at Xia Yusen and asked coldly, "Did you do what happened in Mystic Wind City?" "Don't listen to Qin Yun's nonsense," Xia Yusen shouted. "He's framing me. I will send a messenger pigeon to Zhuochuan. He is very angry about the matter of Mystic Wind City being breached. He must find out the truth. I believe that when the time comes, he will definitely have a way to find out something from you." Qin Yun sneered. Xia Yusen's body trembled as the fear in his eyes became even more obvious. "Take them down and wait for the great elder of the Divine Inscription Palace to arrive," Meng Tao shouted. At this moment, he also felt a lingering fear. If what Qin Yun said was true, this demon imperial city might become a granary for the magical beasts. Meng Failing shuddered when she thought of this. "Little brother Yun, did you come here to find me for this matter?" Meng Failing asked. "Meeting Xia Yusen and the others was just an accident. I came here to tell you that the beastmen have a special ability to control powerful magical beast hordes. When Xinyan mentioned this matter, he recalled the scene of Mystic Wind City being attacked by magical beasts. He let out a long sigh and told them about the siege of Mystic Wind City. Dad and the others are dealing with the beastmen and haven't returned yet. I wonder what the situation is like over there. Meng Failing was very worried as she gripped her whip tightly. Meng Tao also realized the seriousness of the matter because they did not know about it. Qin Yin had come all the way here alone to tell them about this matter so that they could make preparations. This also made them secretly grateful and acknowledge this crown prince even more. All right, if Xia Yusin and the others are really here to destroy the Great Formation, then it might not be long before a large group of magical beasts attack the city. Qin Yin suddenly thought of this and said, I'll send a messenger pigeon to the Great Elder and have him bring some people over when he comes. Good. When the time comes, with the soldiers in our city, as long as the city walls are not broken, we will be able to defend. Meng Tao nodded repeatedly. Crown Prince, it's all thanks to you this time. Otherwise, this city might have been destroyed in my hands. I am the Crown Prince of Tianqin. Protecting the cities in the country is also my responsibility. Qin Yun smiled and asked, Old Meng, do you have any living beastmen? Give me a few and let me study them. I want to know how they control the magical beasts. Go and rest first. I'll send you a few beastmen tomorrow morning. Meng Tao said, Failing, hurry up and bring the Crown Prince to rest. Little brother Yun, follow me. Meng Failing giggled as she pulled Qin Yun and flew up gracefully. Normally, Meng Failing would not dare to fly around, but now that she wanted to bring the Crown Prince to rest, she was not afraid of being scolded by Meng Tao. Meng Failing pulled Qin Yun across the large pond and arrived at the other side of the shore. There was a small building here, which was Meng Failing's residence. Little brother Yun, you're really amazing. Ever since we parted ways, I haven't seen you in this period of time, and you've changed so much. Meng Failing said with emotion as she tidied up her room. Qin Yun sat by the window and said with a smile, There's nothing I can do about it. I was forced out as well. Don't worry, I believe in you. You will definitely be able to defeat Xiao Yanglong. Meng Failing smiled charmingly and asked, What's going on with the Star Xianwu Academy? Why do they expel you? Don't they know that you are a high-level inscription master? They really don't know. When they found out later on, their intestines turned green with regret. Qin Yun said with a chuckle, In any case, I've already learned most of it at the Star Xianwu Academy. Next, as long as I defeat Xiao Yanglong, I will be the head disciple of the Blue Spirit West Palace. Meng Failing pouted and sighed. I was much stronger than you back then, but not long after, I was left far behind by you. Sister Failing, why don't you enter Blue Spirit Star Palace as well? I recommend you to join the Blue Spirit Saint Palace's Beast Martial Palace. You have an eagle martial spirit, so you're very suitable there. Qin Yin said, I know someone from the Blue Spirit Saint Palace. I can help you arrange it. Can I really? I heard that it is very difficult to enter the Blue Spirit Saint Palace, but once you enter, you will advance by leaps and bounds. Meng Failing also wanted to become very strong, but now that the war was in chaos and she was a woman, she wouldn't be able to obtain many resources. Qin Yun said, But in the end, you still have to pass the assessment to enter the Beast Martial Palace. I believe that Sister Failing will definitely be able to pass those exams. I will make good use of little brother Yun and fight for the opportunity for me. Meng Failing walked over and pinched Qin Yun's handsome face with a chuckle. Rest. If you can't sleep in the middle of the night, knock on my door and sleep with me. I'll coax you to sleep. I'm not a child. There's no need to coax me. Qin Yun laughed in embarrassment. Meng Failing pouted coquettishly and walked out of the room. Qin Yun stretched his back and went to rest. In the middle of the night, Qin Yun was woken up by the sudden roars of beasts. He jumped up from his bed and walked out of his room. He also saw Meng Failing rushing out. Meng Failing was wearing loose, white pajamas. Her hair was messy as she asked worriedly, Did the magical beasts attack the city? Chapter 281. Maintaining the formation. Meng failing changed into a simple set of clothes and led Qin Yun out of the building. Just as she left, she saw Meng Tao flying over. Crown Prince, there are magical beasts coming, but there aren't many of them. There are only a few Class 9 magical beasts. Meng Tao said, we can easily take care of them. Qin Yun had guessed that it wouldn't be long before magical beasts attacked. It had only been a day, and the magical beasts had really arrived. These magical beasts are only here to scout the way. It looks like Xia Yusen and the others are really traitors. Qin Yun said with a sneer, once the magical beasts attack the city, the first thing they have to do is to send an inscription master to the core of the formation. This way, it will be even more convenient for them to tamper with the formation. Meng Tao nodded. Although Xia Yusen and company had been captured, he still felt terrified just thinking about it. Old Meng, I'll go to the core of the formation and guard it. A large horde of magical beasts might arrive in the next 2 or 3 days. The great elder of the Divine Inscription Palace shouldn't be able to arrive that quickly. Before they arrive, it's most important for us to defend the city. Qin Yun said, all right, leave the outside to us. Meng Tao nodded and said to Meng Failing, bring the Crown Prince there and accompany him. That way he won't be so bored. Meng Failing said with a charming smile before pulling Qin Yun towards a large mountain in the middle of the mansion. Qin Yun followed Meng Failing into a cave. From the passageway inside the cave, he arrived at a spacious stone room on the ground. The circular stone room was more than 200 meters wide. The ground was made of many special crystals that formed many patterns. In the middle, there was a large box that held crystal coins. Normally, the formation could absorb the spiritual energy from the spirit spring on the ground and turn it into energy to maintain the operation of the formation. If the barrier released by the formation was attacked by a strong force, the formation would absorb the energy of the crystal coins in the box to make the barrier stronger. The taxes collected by the Demon Imperial City were mainly used to maintain the operation of the formation. As long as these formations are not damaged, they don't need much energy to maintain them. Qin Yun looked at the formation seriously and said, what you need to pay attention to is that when the formation is in operation, there must not be any energy blockages. Once there is a blockage, you need to clear it in time. Otherwise, it will cause problems in the entire formation. Is there a problem with this formation? Although Xia Yusen and the others have been in the palace for a few days, we have not allowed them to enter. Meng Failing said, fortunately, you didn't let them in. Otherwise, we might be in danger now. Qin Yun also heaved a sigh of relief. If they had done something, we might not be able to see it in a short period of time. Who sent them? Had they allied with the orcs? I always feel that they are not qualified to do such a thing. There should be a huge force behind them. Meng Failing was filled with doubts. The most terrifying thing is that they can actually join forces with the Beastmen. Qin Yun often thought about this problem. He frowned and said with a long sigh, I also don't know, so this matter is very important. If there are many people like Xia Yusen sneaking into a city, that would be too terrifying. We can only wait for the great elder of the Divine Inscription Palace to come here and interrogate Xia Yusen and the others. They should have a way to get some answers. Meng Failing said as she followed behind Qin Yun. As Qin Yun walked, he released his mental force to check on the situation inside. If he could discover the energy blockage in advance and deal with it as soon as possible, the formation would not be damaged. More than 2 hours later, Qin Yun did not discover any major problems. However, there were some small problems. For example, where some of the spirit inscriptions intersected, the energy was too messy and clashed with each other. After combing through, it became much smoother. There's nothing wrong now. If the formation is in operation, I will pay even more attention. Qin Yun smiled and sat on a stone chair at the side of the stone room. Meng Failing took out the high-grade spirit artifact whip and pouted. Little brother Yun, even if a magical beast comes, I will still have to stay here with you. I can't go out and fight magical beasts. I really want to try this whip. There will be opportunities in the future. Qin Yun said with a smile. All right, don't go around saying that I'm a high-ranked inscription master. I don't want to publicize it for the time being. Meng Failing hurriedly nodded and said with a charming smile, Little brother Yun, are you worried that there will be a lot of people coming to you to refine artifacts? Granduncle and the others have this plan, but they are too embarrassed to ask. Don't worry, when I have time, I will help your Meng clan refine a few spirit artifacts. Qinyan said, There's no need to refine a high-grade spirit artifact. A mid-grade spirit artifact is enough. When the time comes, our Meng clan will not treat you unfairly. We will use the magical beast crystal egg as a reward. Meng Failing grinned as she caressed Qin Yun's cheek. Qin Yun looked around and felt that the environment was not bad. He said, Sister Failing, why don't I forge artifacts here? Can you decide what spirit artifact your Meng clan wants? Meng Failing hurriedly nodded. Of course you can. Besides, no matter what type of spirit artifact you refine, Granduncle and the others will accept it with a smile. You must know that in these chaotic days, inscription masters are even more popular. Before Qin Yun forged an artifact, he had to forge a furnace for himself. As long as he had the chance, he would collect materials for artifact forging, such as beast bones and spirit iron. Therefore, he had quite a lot of materials, allowing him to refine many spirit artifacts, especially Class 8 and 9 magical beast bones. These magical beast bones could be directly melted without adding bone steel to refine a high-grade spirit artifact. It was just that the quality was a bit worse. If one did not pursue the pinnacle, they could not use bone steel at all. Qin Yun mixed the remaining top-grade bone steel with a small amount of royal-grade bone steel and a large amount of beast bones to refine a furnace. The most important thing about the furnace was that it could withstand high temperatures, so it needed to be engraved with alchemy runes. With alchemy runes, it could withstand very high temperatures and would not melt. In addition, a good furnace also required a strong smelting power. It could quickly absorb flames, strengthen the flames, and quickly melt anything that entered the furnace. In addition to alchemy runes, it also required fire runes. And in order to stabilize it, Qin Yun had even carved solid runes. Of course, the most important thing was the alchemy runes. He had carved 3 sets of runes, ensuring that he had a strong enough smelting ability. Meng Failing watched from the side and did not feel bored. That was because as she watched and asked, Qin Yun patiently answered her. This allowed her to increase her knowledge. I've finally finished refining this big fellow. Qin Yun knocked on the brass furnace, producing a dang sound. Meng Failing wiped the sweat off his face and said with a charming smile, Little brother Yun, the spirit artifacts you forged are all very precious. If you were to casually refine it, wouldn't you be rich if you sold it? I can't casually sell my spirit artifact. If I sell it to my enemy, wouldn't I be helping my enemy? Qin Yun chuckled and said, That's why I only sell it to acquaintances. The furnace that Qin Yun had forged looked very simple. There were no fancy carvings on it. It was just a very tall barrel with a lid. No matter how one looked at it, it did not look like a high-grade spirit artifact. I have nothing to do right now, so I might as well start forging a mid-grade spirit artifact. Qin Yun took out many beast bones and threw them into the furnace. Then, he added a certain amount of mid-grade bone steel. This new furnace's smelting speed was extremely fast, especially after absorbing the nether sun purple flame. In just a few seconds, it had melted the mid-grade bone steel and a Class 8 magical beast bone. Qin Yun took out a bone steel barrel and took out the molten liquid from the furnace. Then he put in some special ice crystal powder to solidify the liquid in the barrel. After it solidified, it became a very hard material. After Qin Yun's forging, it turned into a very exquisite saber and sword. Qin Yun used 4 hours to refine a mid-grade spirit artifact. After 2 days, he had refined 6 mid-grade spirit artifacts. He had forged 6 medium-grade spiritual weapons, including sabers, swords, and spears. Meng Failing was very happy. She took the weapons and hurriedly left the underground stone room. If I step into the martial Dao realm, I might be able to refine a top-grade spirit artifact. Qin Yun felt that his mental strength had also reached a bottleneck. Of course, his biggest bottleneck was that he did not know how to step into the martial Dao realm. This stage could be said to be extremely difficult. He needed to reach the peak of the 9th level martial body realm, and then encounter an opportunity to cross over. Qin Yun did not know much about the martial Dao realm. In fact, there were not many people who knew much about the martial Dao realm in the Borderlands. Only the Blue Spirit Star Palace knew the key to stepping into the martial Dao realm. The cultivation of the martial Dao realm is the opposite of the martial body realm. Qin Yun recalled what Lan Fengjin had told him and muttered to himself. If one wanted to step into the martial Dao realm at the 9th level martial body realm, they would have to cultivate the Vajra inner core into a Vajra Dao core. With the Vajra Dao core and the powerful Vajra martial body, one would be able to bear the power of the powerful martial Dao. At the martial body realm, one would begin by drawing qi into the body and tempering the Vajra martial body. Finally, one would condense a pill in the body. As for the martial Dao realm, one would first condense a Vajra Dao core and cultivate the power of the martial Dao before tempering a Dao body. Qin Yun looked at his 3 Vajra inner cores and shook his head. He no longer thought about breaking through. He had just stepped into the 9th level martial body realm not long ago. If he was too eager to think about the matters of the martial Dao realm, it was extremely likely that he would go berserk. In any case, there's still about a year left. Let's talk about it when the time comes. If I am unable to break through, I should be able to fight against Xiao Yanglong with the power of my 3 Vajra inner cores. Qin Yun looked at the formation in the stone chamber and recalled the matter of the beastmen. He had originally planned to let Mo meet the beastmen to see if she knew anything about them. Now that there were magical beasts outside the city, he had to guard the formation and ensure that it could operate smoothly. He could not leave this place even half a step. When he was waiting for Meng Fei Ling to return, he took out his tools and made the body securing talisman. Chapter 282. A fierce battle with a horde of beasts after Qin Yun created 2 high-grade body securing talismans. Meng Fei Ling returned. Sister Failing, what's the situation outside? Have those 10 or so magical beasts been repelled? Qin Yun hurriedly asked. They've all been killed. Granduncle and the others have increased their manpower and are mainly guarding a few city gates. Each city gate is guarded by a martial Dao realm elder. They will definitely not be open from the inside. As Meng Fei Ling spoke, she took out 2 magical beast crystal eggs and placed them on the ground. She said with a smile, Granduncle and the others were very happy to see the spirit artifact you forged. They told me to give you 2 magical beast crystal eggs. Actually 1 magical beast crystal egg is enough. This is a bit too much, Qin Yun said somewhat embarrassedly. Granduncle is worried that the reward is not enough. He said that the strength of the middle-grade spirit artifact you forged is comparable to many high-grade spirit artifacts. It is an outstanding middle-grade spirit artifact. Meng Fei Ling touched Qin Yun's face and smiled charmingly. Little brother Yun, don't be polite with our Meng family. Accept it. Qin Yun did not stand on ceremony. Although he already had a few magical beast crystal eggs, it was enough for Mo to eat for a period of time. However, Mo had once said that if she wanted to see through the dark lines and remember them, she would need to inject a lot of energy. If it was a higher grade inscription, then it would consume more energy. She would need more magical beast crystal eggs to maintain it. Qin Yun continued to establish his identity while Meng Fei Ling accompanied him by the side to prevent him from feeling bored. Half a day later, the door to the stone room suddenly opened. Meng Tao walked in with a smile on his face, followed by a few old men. Crown Prince, the great elder of the Divine Inscription Palace, is here. This is the team of inscriptionists he brought with him. The matter of maintaining the formation can be left to them. Meng Tao was now more and more impressed by Qin Yun's abilities. Not everyone could invite an outstanding team of inscriptionists from the Divine Inscription Palace. However, Qin Yun had only sent a messenger pigeon to invite them. Where's the great elder? Qin Yun asked. He finally did not have to guard this place. He's up there, preparing to interrogate Xia Yusen and the others. Let's go together, Meng Tao said. After arranging the inscription master team, Qin Yun and company came to the top. Meng Tao brought Qin Yun and Meng Failing to a short mountain not far away. There was a dungeon there. Xia Yusen and the others were all imprisoned separately. They all had their own cells, and they were all tied up and soaked in a special medicinal liquid. This could prevent them from self-destructing or committing suicide. Zhuo Chuan was in Xia Yusen's cell. He wore a set of black leather armor and looked at Xia Yusen with a serious expression. After Qin Yun arrived, he asked, "Great Elder, do you know this person?" "Of course I do. I just didn't expect him to do such a thing." Zhuo Chuan looked coldly at Xia Yusen. Was it really Xia Yusen who did the Mystic Wind City's great formation being withdrawn? "Are you sure?" Qin Yun originally had some doubts about this, but he never expected Zhuo Chuan to confirm it so quickly. Zhuo Chuan pressed his hand on Xia Yusen's head and said in a deep voice, "There's no mistake. Now, we have to find out from him who ordered him to do this. The power behind him is the most terrifying. They can actually ally with the Beastmen. I wonder what kind of deal they have with the Beastmen." "Great Elder, what does this guy know? Can you get it out?" Qin Yun asked. "I'll give it a try first." Zhuo Chuan took out a talisman and placed it on Xia Yusen's forehead. Then he activated the talisman and saw Xia Yusen's expression immediately turn sluggish. Zhuo Chuan asked, "Who told you to go to Mystic Wind City to destroy the city's protective formation?" The talisman flashed, and a ray of light appeared. Xia Yusen also opened his mouth and slowly said, "It's a black-clothed man. He promised me that as long as I'm done, he'll give me a set of high-grade spirit marks." "Did he give you the spirit marks?" Zhuo Chuan asked again. "No, he said that after I destroy the Demon Imperial City's great formation, he'll give it to me together." After Xia Yusen finished speaking, the talisman turned to ashes. It could not last for long. Zhuo Chuan frowned and said, "Black-clothed man?" It seemed like the other party had done it very secretly. This guy didn't know much. However, since the other party's conditions are not bad, it can be seen that they must be a very powerful force. Meng Tao said in a deep voice, "Blue Spirit Star Palace? Other than the Divine Inscription Palace, they are the only ones who can take out high-grade spirit marks." "I'm not sure yet. Right now, the most important thing is to remind the major cities to be on guard and protect the Great Formation." Zhuo Chuan looked like he had a lot on his mind. Meng Failing asked in a low voice, "If it's the Blue Spirit Star Palace, what are their intentions in doing this?" Zhuo Chuan said, "There are a total of 5 palaces with the most power in the Blue Spirit Star Palace. Among them, the Blue Spirit Saint Palace doesn't really care about anything. As everyone knows, the ones who like to interfere in the affairs of the various empires the most are the Blue Spirit West Palace and Nangong. It's very likely that they did it. The reason they did this might be because they plan to use the power of the Beastmen to weaken the power of the Tianqin Empire and the Divine Inscription Palace." Ever since Qin Long returned and took control of the Tianqin Empire, the Blue Spirit Star Palace has been unable to interfere and control the Tianqin Empire. As for our Divine Inscription Palace, we have always been obstructing them, preventing them from capturing people as slaves and preventing them from having too much power. It's impossible for them not to hate us. Qin Yun said, "It's also possible that they are expanding their strength. If they could join forces with the Beastmen, then their overall strength would also become very strong. If they were to break through a city, the Beastmen and magical beasts would be able to obtain a large amount of food, and their strength would greatly increase. I'm not sure yet. I hope they didn't do it. If they did, then that would be too terrifying." Zhuo Chuan's face was filled with worry and solemnity. If the Beastmen could obtain the help of humans, obtain many weapons, or understand human techniques, their strength would definitely increase by a lot. This was indeed terrifying. Boom! A loud sound suddenly reverberated through the air, causing the ground to tremble. "The magical beasts are attacking," Meng Tao shouted. "Let's go out and take a look." Zhuo Chuan nodded his head. I want to see if the magical beasts attacking this time also know how to form a formation. If that's the case, then I'm sure that there are humans helping them. The beastmen can control magical beasts and humans can provide them with schemes. If they join forces, they will be a great threat to us humans. Qin Yin followed Meng Tao and company out of the dungeon and flew towards the distant city gate. When they arrived at the city wall, they saw hundreds of different colored and different types of magical beasts. There were big and small magical beasts. In the evening, under the shroud of the setting sun, the magical beasts appeared somewhat terrifying. It was as if they wanted to dominate the night after sunset. The horde of magical beasts suddenly let out an explosive roar that shook the world. The giant magical beasts in front of them began to madly charge towards the city gate. The large magical beasts were charging at the city gate, while the smaller magical beasts were in the distance. They were divided into groups and waited for the city gate to open before attacking the city. The dozens of elite guards that Zhuo Chuan had brought were already waiting on the city wall. The large magical beasts outside the city looked like rhinoceroses. They had huge horns the size of water tanks and were constantly charging at the city gate. Because of the city protection formation, they were unable to harm the city gate. Otherwise, it wouldn't be long before the city gate would be broken through. Let's attack. The strongest of these magical beasts are only at the 9th rank. Most of them are at the 7th or 8th rank, and they're not too strong. Of course, if the city gate is opened, it will be difficult to deal with them. Zhuo Chuan said. Meng Tao nodded, and with a loud shout, he flew down from the city wall. At the same time, Zhuo Chuan led the elite guards of the Divine Inscription Palace and jumped down from the city wall. Although there was a great formation, one could leave from the inside, but not from the outside. The martial artist guarding the city also jumped down. Qin Yun stood on the city wall and controlled his saber to kill the small magical beasts in the distance. He had already learned the Imperial Spirit technique to the great perfection stage. He could control his weapon to fly thousands of meters away and kill magical beasts. The weaker magical beasts within a kilometer of him could basically be killed by him accurately. The moment the battle began, waves of mournful beast roars could be heard. The magical beasts were no match for the humans and were beaten to the point of howling. "Look over there," Meng Failing suddenly shouted, pointing straight ahead. "Another horde of magical beasts has arrived." Qin Yun shouted, "Be careful." In the distance, another batch of magical beasts appeared. From the aura they emitted, their strength was not inferior to the first batch. Zhuo Chuan and the other martial Dao realm cultivators immediately charged towards the horde of magical beasts. "There's a spirit beast," Zhuo Chuan shouted in shock. Qin Yin was also alarmed. This time, they had actually sent a spirit beast. He had always thought that the beastmen could only control Class 9 magical beasts. He never expected that they could also control spirit beasts. This was truly frightening. "Great Elder, can you deal with it?" Qin Yin asked. "No problem." Zhuo Chuan took out a golden red long staff. The long staff was engraved with dragon patterns and overflowed with a golden red light. Under the dusk, it was extremely bright. Zhuo Chuan, who was in the air, waved his long staff and shot out streams of flames. The flames were like fire dragons as they roared and crashed into the ground, colliding with the horde of magical beasts that were charging at them. When the fire dragons collided with the magical beast's body, they produced a boom sound and exploded with a blinding golden red light. The magical beast also shattered. The exploding magical beast's stiff bones spread out in all directions and flew into the bodies of the other magical beasts, causing a large number of them to be seriously injured. After Zhuo Chuan killed a large number of magical beasts, he charged towards the largest spirit beast. It was a giant pale golden wolf covered in spikes. It had 3 eyes and looked very strong. "The Great Elder's strength is truly terrifying," Qin Yin exclaimed. "Yes, Granduncle and the others are far inferior to the Great Elder." Meng Feiling also nodded in shock. The sky gradually darkened, but the flames outside the city gates filled the sky. The dragon staff in Zhuchuan's hand flickered with light, illuminating a large area outside the city gates. This dragon staff should have dragon totem tattoos carved on it. Qin Yun looked carefully and said in surprise, "I never expected that totem tattoos could be carved on weapons. Furthermore, they are very powerful." From time to time, Qin Yun would throw down body, securing talismans to help the people below. Of course, his saber was not idle as it constantly slashed at the magical beasts. This made Meng Fei Ling, who was watching from the side, feel a wave of envy. She also wanted to go down and fight magical beasts, but Meng Tao and company did not allow it. Therefore, she could only watch Qin Yun play with his saber from the city walls. "Little brother Yun, look over there. Is there a flying magical beast?" Meng Fei Ling had nothing to do and looked around. Qin Yun looked in the direction that Meng Fei Ling had pointed out. Indeed, he discovered a black thing flapping its wings, and its eyes emitting a light from time to time. Chapter 283. Beastman Mountain Range. From the looks of the current situation, the magical beast attack this time was a huge failure. The flying beastmen who were watching the battle would definitely go back to report this matter. Qin Yun wanted to figure out who had joined forces with the beastmen to order the magical beast to attack the city. Therefore, he immediately decided to follow the flying beastman back. "Little brother Yun, wait." Just as Meng Fei Ling shouted twice, Qin Yun jumped off the city wall and charged towards the flying beastmen, disappearing into the darkness. Qin Yun used his shadow power and charged towards the flying beastman from the ground. Soon, he arrived below the flying beastman. After careful observation, he was certain that this was a beastman. It had a human body and a pair of huge wings on its back. Its legs were eagle legs, and it had a pair of claws. Its entire body was covered in feathers, and its head was also an eagle's head. This guy's strength isn't weak. From the strength of his aura, it's equivalent to a human at the 9th level martial body realm. Qin Yun was about 3,000 meters away from the city gate. It was also very dark here. Even if there was a flash of light from time to time, it would not expose him. The birdman did not notice Qin Yun. Instead, it constantly flapped its wings as it observed the battle in the distance. Not long after, the battle outside the city gate became less intense. The ground was littered with the corpses of magical beasts. Only a few of them were injured, and no one died. The battle was over. More than 1,000 magical beasts had completely failed to attack the city. On one hand, the Demon Imperial City was already prepared. On the other hand, Zhuchuan and the elites of the Divine Inscription Palace were here. Furthermore, the beastmen thought that the Great Formation had been destroyed by Xia Yusin and company, and that they could attack the city. The beastmen never expected that all of this would be destroyed by Qin Yun. Furthermore, they had exposed their scheme. When the birdman saw that the battle was over, he immediately flew into the sky and left in a hurry. Just now, Qin Yun had collected quite a number of birdman auras. He had used them to refine a soul-chasing talisman. He had once used this soul-chasing talisman to chase after an enemy, and it was very successful. Although Qin Yun could fly, he did not follow the birdman. The main reason was that the birdman was very fast. If he were to chase after him, it would be very easy for his aura to be leaked. "Bastard Beastman, I am the Crown Prince of the Tianqin Empire. How dare you have designs on my Tianqin city?" As Qin Yun crafted talismans, he scolded angrily. What infuriated him the most was that it was very likely that the Blue Spirit West Palace or Nangong was behind this. He had to find out who did it so that he could find out who was responsible for it. After Qin Yun finished refining the soul-chasing talisman, he used it to determine the direction in which the birdman had gone before chasing after it. Demon Imperial City was at the border of the Tianqin Empire, and the Beastman army was in the mountains outside the border, not too far away. Qin Yun did not chase for long before he walked out of the country's borders and entered the mountains. That mountain was very barren, mainly because it was destroyed by the orcs. It was originally a very beautiful green mountain. This must be the Orc Mountain Range. I've heard about it since I was young, but this is the first time I've entered this place. Qin Yun carefully ran through the Bear Mountain Range. Not to mention him, even some martial Dao realm cultivators did not dare to casually enter this mountain range. There were many experts in the Demon Imperial Palace who had never entered in their entire lives because it was extremely dangerous inside. According to legend, the Beastmen only appeared after the Tianqin Empire, and it was a sudden appearance. How did the Beastmen suddenly appear? It had become an eternal mystery. In short, when the Beastmen appeared, they were very strong. They had to sacrifice many martial artists to force the Beastmen back to the Beastman mountain range. Qin Yun could not help but admire the Birdman's strength. His flying speed was extremely fast. Even a martial Dao realm cultivator would find it difficult to catch up. This guy should have returned to his lair. I have to catch up quickly and eavesdrop on their conversation. Qin Yun entered the Beastman mountain range and ran as fast as he could. Late at night, he finally entered the depths of the mountain range. He was getting closer and closer to the Birdman. On the way, he also saw many Beastmen. He did not make a move. He circled around the Beastmen and chased after the Birdman. After entering the Beastman mountain range, Qin Yun gained a rough understanding of the number of Beastmen. He was also deeply shocked. There were a lot of Beastmen here. It was unknown how they reproduced and what they ate. If a human city didn't have a formation or something like that, it would have been broken through by these Beastmen long ago. Qin Yun sighed in his heart. The person who discovered the inscription back then was able to use it to set up a formation. What a genius! After the Birdman entered the Beastman mountain range, his speed slowed down a lot. This was because from time to time, a cold wind would blow out from the mountain range. Even the Beastmen would not be able to withstand it. Therefore, at night, the weaker Beastmen would hide in their caves and not come out. The stranging wind did not affect Qin Yun at all. After running for a period of time, he finally caught up to the Birdman. The Birdman flew in the air and suddenly landed on the mountainside of a large mountain. When Qin Yun saw it, he memorized the location. Then, he carefully used the flame cloud steps and rushed over. When he approached the mountain, he stopped the flame cloud steps and quickly climbed up and entered a cave. There were no Beastmen guarding the cave because this area was the territory of the powerful Beastmen. If other Beastmen entered, they would be killed. Moreover, no humans had ever entered this place before, so the Beastmen in this area were not very vigilant. Qin Yun carefully stepped onto the passageway. After entering the depths, he arrived at a very spacious stone hall. The Birdman walked back and forth in the hall, looking very anxious. Someone's coming. Qin Yun suddenly heard a sound and hurriedly hid in a passageway that led to a storage room by the wall of the hall. Qin Yun did not dare to go out, afraid that he would be discovered. Hiding in this passageway, he could hear the sounds outside. It would be safer. Lord, all the magical beasts we sent out are dead. The Birdman's voice carried a trace of fear, worried that he would be punished by the Lord. Dead. The Lord roared angrily. His voice was hoarse and rough, like a low rumble of thunder. How'd he die? The voice of the person who asked the question sounded very familiar to Qin Yun. Qin Yun immediately recalled the voice as an old man in a blue robe appeared in his mind. The palace master of the Blue Spirit West Palace. When he wanted to challenge Xiao Yanglong, this palace master was also present, so he remembered the voice. It was indeed done by the Blue Spirit West Palace. Qin Yun clenched his fist tightly. The Blue Spirit West Palace colluded with the Beastmen to attack the Demon Imperial City and murder millions of people. This infuriated Qin Yun. The Birdman recounted the process of the magical beast horde being killed in detail. The old man with the glowing staff. This must be Zhuo Chuan. With this old fellow here, it was normal for the magical beast to be killed. Why did he appear in the Demon Imperial City? Could it be that he had already discovered Xia Yusen? So you want to stop him? The palace master of the Western Palace took a light breath and said with a frown, If the divine inscription palace senses it, it will not be easy for us to break through the city in the future. The Beastman Lord said, What a pity. The Demon Imperial City is a very large city. If we succeed, we can rely on the large number of corpses inside to raise a large number of powerful magical beasts. The magical beasts can give birth to many magical beast crystal eggs, and the spirit beasts that come out of the magical beast crystal eggs will be completely obedient to us. Qin Yun had long known that the magical beast that broke out of the magical beast crystal eggs would definitely be very powerful. If he could enslave a magical beast of this level, he would indeed be able to obtain great power. If he wanted a magical beast to produce a magical beast crystal egg and hatch a magical beast, he would need to consume a large amount of food. In other words, the magical beast would need to eat a lot of people. Now, Qin Yun finally understood the conspiracy of the West Palace Master. They also had their eyes on the strength of the spirit beasts and wanted to control this power. And in order to obtain the magical beasts that had broken out of their shells, they actually planned to use humans as food to feed the magical beasts. Furthermore, he was using the citizens of the Tianqin Empire. This made Qin Yun even more furious. If he had the strength, he would have rushed out to fight the West Palace Master a long time ago. Then what should we do now? The Beastman Lord asked. Let's try other cities. Sigh, the Demon Imperial City is the closest to the Beastman mountain range. If we can take it down, then the Tianqin Empire will be at our fingertips. The Palace Master of the Western Palace sighed regretfully. Ever since Qin Long returned, the Tianqin Empire has not been under our control. If this continues, sooner or later, it will become a powerful force and fight against us. This was similar to Zhuo Chuan's guess. Palace Master Yang, then it's up to you. We beastmen can control magical beasts. If we work together, we will be able to rule this borderland sooner or later. The Beastman Lord laughed out loud. Lord, I'll take my leave. Birdman heaved a sigh of relief when he saw that his lord was in such a good mood. Leave? If you come back empty-handed and don't kill 1 or 2 humans for me to eat, do you have the nerve to leave? The Beastman Lord shouted, Men, capture Black Crow and hang him at the entrance of my cave. Tomorrow morning, roast him and eat him. Lord, spare me. Birdman hurriedly knelt down and begged. Without saying a word, the Lord left with Palace Master Yang of the West Palace. Not long after, a few werewolves arrived and captured Birdman. One of the werewolves laughed and said, You damned crow, you usually fly around. We've been unhappy with you for a long time and wanted to eat you for a long time. Ha! As long as it's daybreak, we'll be able to eat your meat. The Birdman was tied up and kept crying and cursing at the werewolves. He wailed and called out Lord, hoping to be spared. Beastmen are beastmen. They don't even know how to win over people's hearts. This Birdman didn't do anything wrong at all. He's not good at fighting, so it's normal that he didn't participate in the battle. Qin Yun curled his lips in his heart before taking out a high-grade beast-taming talisman. As long as the beast-taming talisman was inserted into a beast's body, it would be able to control the beast for a period of time. The difficulty of refining it wasn't high either. It was much easier than refining the beast-taming collar. Chapter 284. 284 Chapter 284 Beast Oil the Birdman was dragged away by a few werewolves. On the way, he was constantly beaten up and let out miserable cries. The werewolves, on the other hand, were laughing incessantly. It seemed that violence brought them great joy. Qin Yun secretly followed behind. When he arrived at the entrance of the cave, he saw that the Birdman was covered in wounds. His legs were tied up by iron chains, and he was hung upside down at the entrance of the large cave. Blood was still dripping from his mouth. The werewolves were very heavy-handed, but the Birdman's vitality was very tenacious, and he could still scream in pain. After the werewolves hung the Birdman in the cave, they left because no one could save the Birdman here. Qin Yun retracted his shadow power and stood below the Birdman. When the Birdman saw the blurry shadow, his eyes widened. He could not help but be shocked. He thought that he was injured and was hallucinating. Hee hee. At daybreak, you will be roasted and eaten by your lord. May I ask how you are feeling right now? Qin Yin chuckled. When the Birdman heard the voice, he knew that it was not an illusion. His body trembled in fear. You are a human, Qin Yin said with a smile. That's right. Have you never seen a human before? What's so surprising about that? What do you want to do? Kill me? I'm not afraid of death. The Birdman's voice trembled. Although it knew that it would be eaten after daybreak, it would at least be able to live for a while longer. If it died now, it would still be very afraid. I'm not like you guys, who eat everything. Qin Yin chuckled and took out a beast-taming talisman. After activating it, he inserted it into the Birdman's body. Very quickly, he could sense the Birdman's soul. As long as he was willing, he could destroy the Birdman's soul with a single thought. What did you do? Of course, the Birdman saw Qin Yin throw a talisman over and could not help but cry out in alarm. Furthermore, it had a feeling that its soul was being controlled. That talisman just now is called the Beast-Taming Talisman. After entering your body, I can torture your soul. If you don't cooperate with me, that will be even more painful than being eaten. Qin Yin laughed treacherously. Then he took out his spirit essence saber and controlled it to cut the chain. When the Birdman saw the spirit essence saber, he suddenly remembered that at the entrance of Demon Imperial City, there was such a saber flying around and killing many magical beasts. You're from Demon Imperial City. After the Birdman was put down, the Birdman's eyes emitted a green light. The Birdman opened his beak wide, as though he was about to attack Qin Yin. Damn it, I saved you now. I may be human, but I am not as crazy as your lord. You worked hard for it, but because it was in a bad mood, it executed you. It even wanted to eat you and share your meat with the werewolves, said Qin Yin with a sneer. The Birdman's hostile attitude also gradually disappeared. His voice was filled with sorrow. You're right. You did save me. Qin Yin patted its shoulder and said with a smile, I saved you because I want you to help me. Put on this clothes and recover from your injuries. I'll take you out of here. With the beast-taming talisman in his hands, the Birdman did not dare to act rashly. When it recalled how its lord had treated him and how it had been bullied by a few werewolves, it became even more furious. The Birdman put on the light pattern equipment that Qin Yin had given him, and his injuries healed very quickly. Just as it was marveling at the set of clothes, it was brought down by Qin Yin. Birdman, you seem to be bullied in this Beastman territory. That lord must have wanted to deal with you for a long time. That's why he found such an excuse. Qin Yin asked as he put away the light pattern equipment. The Birdman nodded and said, That's because I can fly. In the Beastmen mountain range, all the Beastmen who can fly are treated with hostility. They will be completely enslaved, and some will even be used as mounts. Qin Yin said with a smile, That's because they can't fly. It should be. The Birdman sighed helplessly. It touched the wounds on its body and discovered that they were all healed. Once again, it marveled at the miraculous things of humans. Human, you saved me. How do you want me to help you? The Birdman asked. Qin Yin felt that this Birdman was quite humane. He knew how to repay kindness. He asked in a low voice, When did that Palace Master Yang hook up with your lord? It's been a while. I remember that when that Palace Master first came, our lord welcomed him very much. As for when we started to contact each other, I'm not sure. They were together before I pledged my allegiance to that wolf. The Birdman recalled. Qin Yin thought for a moment and asked, Then where are they now? Your lord must have something that Palace Master Yang has taken a fancy to. Otherwise, they wouldn't be working together. The Birdman looked in a direction and said, They went to look at the beast oil. At the bottom of the hundreds of mountains over there, there's a large amount of beast oil. This beast oil is the food of us beastmen. It can prevent us from feeling hungry and make us stronger. That Palace Master Yang would come here every once in a while and take away a large amount of beast oil. What does he want a beast oil for? Qin Yin asked, feeling extremely astonished. He finally understood why the beastmen could reproduce so quickly even though they had no food to eat. It turned out that there was a large amount of mysterious beast oil here. I don't know. I'll take you there to take a look. The Birdman said, No need. If you're discovered by them, you will definitely die. I'll go over myself. First fly out of the Beastman mountain range and find a place to hide near the stone tablet at the border of the Tianqin Empire. When I get back, I'll call you there, Qin Yun said in a low voice as he pointed in a direction. The Birdman nodded and said, all right, you're not allowed to kill people recklessly in the future, Qin Yun warned. I've never killed anyone before. I grew up eating beast oil. The Birdman flew up with some grievance and said, all right, let's go. Qin Yun said, I'll kill those werewolves along the way. When the Birdman heard this, he flew away happily. Qin Yun quickly found the werewolves and swiftly killed them with his spirit essence saber. Then, he ran in the direction of the beast oil. Mo, have you heard of beast oil? Qin Yun asked. I don't know. I'll only know after I see it. Mo said, when I get back, I want to go out and take a look at that Birdman. That way, I can be sure that these beastmen didn't come from the demon realm. After Qin Yun let go of the two mountains, he sensed some other auras. It was an aura that was filled with corruption, but it contained an extremely strong energy. At the top of the mountain, he quickly discovered that there were many tall and sturdy beastmen below. They were all minotaurs, and they were busy working. They should be digging for beast oil. He hurriedly hid in the darkness and carefully walked down the mountain. Soon, he saw the so-called beast oil. It was transparent and colorless, like a liquid. However, it had a strange smell. Beside the mountain, there was a large well that was a few meters wide. The ox-headed beastmen were working together to pull up a huge barrel. Soon, the barrel was pulled up and placed to the side. There were many large barrels filled with beast oil here. Following that, the ox-headed beastmen threw a large iron bucket into the well and continued to extract the beast oil. Qin Yun quietly came to a large barrel and took out a bowl. After filling it with half a bowl, he was surprised to discover that the half a bowl of beast oil weighed 100 genes. Just this weight alone was enough to show the energy contained in the beast oil. Mo, the beast oil is here. Take a look and see if the demon realm has this thing. Qin Yun did not know the exact use of the beast oil. He only knew that the beastmen relied on it to survive. And the Blue Spirit West Palace seemed to value this beast oil very much. After putting the half bowl of beast oil into the storage space, Mo cried out in alarm. This is beast spirit liquid. Beast spirit liquid? What is this? When Qin Yun heard Mo's exclamation, he was certain that the beast oil was not simple. This is something that magical beasts and the beast blood race like to eat. As for how it appeared, I'm not sure either. Mo said, Big Brother Yun, I now know what a beast man is. It's the beast blood race. They have the bloodline of beasts in their bodies, so they look half human and half beast. In the demon realm, the beast blood race is second only to magical beasts. Because the beast blood race has the bloodline of magical beasts in their bodies, they can avoid being attacked by magical beasts when they encounter them. If they use a large amount of beast spirit liquid, they will be able to drive magical beasts to do things for them. How did the beastmen control the magical beasts? It was gradually becoming clear now. It was all because of the beast oil. Suddenly, Qin Yun sensed a familiar aura. It was Xiao Yanglong's aura. Xiao Yanglong was actually here as well. Blue Spirit West Palace's Palace Master Yang was with Xiao Yanglong. They slowly walked over and walked towards the dozens of barrels of beast oil. Other than Palace Master Yang and Xiao Yanglong, there was also a youth here. He was at the 9th level martial body realm. He followed behind Xiao Yanglong and Palace Master Yang very respectfully. Qin Yun hurriedly hid in a large, empty barrel. Palace Master, I plan to hold my wedding with Yang Shiryu as soon as possible. When the time comes, I hope that Palace Master can host it for me, Xiao Yanglong said. These words caused Qin Yun's heart to skip a beat. Palace Master Yang said with a smile, No problem. I thought you were going to defeat Qin Yun before holding the wedding. I didn't expect it to start so early. I've encountered a bottleneck, and I've just obtained the yin and yang cultivation technique. I want to try it out on Yang Shiryu and see if I can successfully pluck her and help me break through. Palace Master, you should know that a genius like her is extremely rare. I don't want someone else to beat me to it, Xiao Yanglong said with a smile. When Qin Yun heard this, he was so infuriated that his heart bled. Xiao Yanglong was actually using Yang Shiyu as a cauldron to cultivate an evil cultivation technique. Palace Master, you don't have to come here often in the future. Leave the matter of retrieving the beast oil to me. The youth smiled and said, this way, you will also have time to arrange the wedding. Chapter 285. Mysterious Bottle. Qin Yun was curious about what the Blue Spirit West Palace wanted the beast oil for. Now, he understood that it was actually used to burn Xian Yuan steel. Xian Yuan steel was a material used to refine Xian artifacts. It was said that a strong flame had to be used to burn the Xian Yuan crystal iron for a long time in order to obtain the Xian Yuan steel. If one had a large amount of Xian Yuan steel and used it to refine powerful Xian artifacts, it would definitely make a force very strong. Of course, beast oil had another huge benefit, which was to feed magical beasts. Those spirit beasts have to eat people in order to hatch magical beast crystal eggs. Otherwise, with the beast oil we have, we would be able to control a large number of spirit beasts. Xiao Yanglong opened the lid of a large barrel and said, Along, you said that you want to marry Yang Shiyu as soon as possible. Is she willing? Right now, she is a saint of the Blue Spirit Saint sect. If she is unwilling, we cannot force her. Palace Head Yang said, Don't worry, the Yang family that Yang Shiyu belongs to is under my control. If Yang Shiyu doesn't agree, she will know the consequences. Xiao Yanglong was confident as he said with a cold smile, Otherwise, the Yang family wouldn't have let Yang Shiyu get engaged to me back then. Qin Yun had long guessed that Yang Shiyu had been forced. Now, it was as expected. That's good. At that time, I will be in charge of inviting powerful guests over so that you can have a good time. After all, this is a joyous occasion for our Blue Spirit West Palace. Palace Head Yang chuckled. It was obvious that he valued Xiao Yanglong greatly. The youth beside them was called Zhang Heng, Xiao Yanglong's disciple. He looked to be 16 or 17 years old and was already at the 9th level martial body realm. This kind of genius was also very rare. Zhang Heng said, Master, didn't Qin Yun want to challenge you? If he comes, I'll be the one to fight. I guarantee that I'll beat him until he kneels down and admits his wrongs to you. He actually dared to challenge Master so arrogantly and even ruin Master's good fortune time and time again. All right, when the time comes, you will fight. If he can't even beat you, he won't be able to challenge me. My disciple will beat him half to death. That would be great. Xiao Yanglong patted Zhang Heng's shoulder and laughed out loud. If you kill him, I'll think of a way to marry you well on to you. When Zhang Heng heard that, he said happily, Thank you first, Master. You well on, this shrewish little girl. I have long wanted to teach her a lesson in bed. Ha ha. When the time comes, not only will I ruthlessly beat up Qin Yun, I will also ride his woman. Ha ha. Qin Yun was infuriated when he heard that. He wished he could rush out and smash Zhang Heng's dog mouth. Palace Lord, where did this beast oil come from? There's so many of them. The beastmen have been eating for a long time, but they still haven't finished it. Zhang Heng put away his ferocious expression and looked at a big barrel. Qin Yun, who was hiding in the empty bucket, was also very curious about this question. I don't know. In short, this beast oil is a very precious resource in the devil realm. Palace Head Yang shook his head, full of doubts. Qin Yun, who was in the empty bucket, was secretly disappointed that he did not know the answer. Suddenly, he felt the empty barrels move. The Taurans grabbed the empty barrels, put the chains on them, and threw them into the well. Qin Yun, who was hiding in the well, panicked. He did not know what would happen if a person fell into the beast oil. In his panic, he hurriedly took out a water-repelling talisman. The water-repelling talisman was made from water-repelling spirit runes. As long as this talisman was activated, it would constantly produce talisman power, preventing the surrounding liquid from approaching. This was something that Qin Yun had taken the time to create after diving into the Myriad Star Lake. When diving, his body would not touch the water, and he could also dive into the water. I wonder if the water-repelling talisman is effective against this beast oil. After Qin Yun activated the water-repelling talisman, the vat fell a few hundred meters deep and soaked in the beast oil. The water-repelling talisman worked, and the beast oil did not touch his body. His body seemed to be wrapped in a transparent shield, preventing the liquid from seeping in. Since I'm here, I might as well dive down and take a look. This crazy thought suddenly appeared in Qin Yun's mind. Furthermore, he really climbed out of the vat and dived into the depths of the oil well. In this mountain range, there were one or two such oil wells near every mountain. Like drawing water, the beastmen brought up barrels of beast oil and placed them in an empty space beside the oil well for the people from the Blue Spirit West Palace to collect. There had always been so much beast oil in the oil well. It had not dried up for so many years. This was extremely inconceivable. Therefore, Qin Yun wanted to dive deeper to investigate the source of the beast oil. After Qin Yun dove deep into the water, he quickly sensed a jet. The jet was also in the direction of the large amount of beast oil. After finding a direction, Qin Yun immediately increased his speed and swam in the direction of the jet. Because he had the Jade Water Spirit Mark, he was not touched by the beast oil. Otherwise, it would be extremely difficult for him to swim in the heavy beast oil. Deep down in this area was a huge ocean of beast oil. Qin Yun, who was deep in the ocean, felt more and more shocked. He was also curious about the reason for such a large amount of beast oil. More than 4 hours later, Qin Yun followed the jet and arrived at the bottom of a deep pit in the deep ocean of beast oil. The jet was getting more and more intense. He hurriedly took out a glowing stone and illuminated the area in front of him. He discovered that there was a bottle there. A large amount of beast oil was overflowing from this bottle. Qin Yun was shocked. It was obvious that the bottle was not formed naturally, but refined by someone. It was actually able to contain so much beast oil. He did not find it strange at all for such a powerful divine tool. That was because his 9-yang divine spirit was also mysterious and powerful. He hurriedly swam over and grabbed the bottle. Then, he dripped a drop of blood onto the bottle, allowing it to recognize him as its master. The process of recognizing the bottle as its master was very smooth. However, Qin Yun did not obtain any information about the bottle. He only knew that there was a large amount of beast oil inside the bottle. I wonder how much more there is. If it wasn't for me controlling it, the beast oil would have continued to flow out. After Qin Yun obtained the bottle, he carefully observed it. The bottle was black and looked like a very ordinary wine bottle. It was impossible to tell what it was. What was even stranger was that Qin Yun could not pour the beast oil into it. This bottle could only be emptied. It was very strange. Forget it. There's still a lot of it anyway. I don't need to spend so much effort to obtain it like Xiao Yanglong and the others. Qin Yun was secretly delighted as he returned the way he came. After tossing and turning for more than 20 hours, he finally ran out of the oil well. He had also calculated the time and waited for it to turn dark before coming out. This allowed him to hide in the darkness. Qin Yun came out while sitting in an oil barrel. As soon as he came out, he sensed an aura. It was Xiao Yanglong's disciple, Zhang Heng. Xiao Yanglong and Palace Chief Yang were no longer here. They should have returned to Blue Spirit Star Palace, leaving Zhang Heng to watch over the oil wells. Zhang Heng was storing barrels of beast oil into his storage spirit artifact. He did not notice Qin Yun, who was hidden in the darkness. As Qin Yun had the water-repelling talisman, his body was not stained with beast oil. However, after he came out of the oil barrel, he still hid beside a huge rock at the foot of the mountain. Zhang Heng was not wearing the blue robe of Blue Spirit Star Palace. Instead, he was wearing black clothes. He was also very small, with a sharp mouth and monkey cheeks. However, his aptitude was indeed not bad. At the age of 17 or 18, he was already at the 9th level martial body realm. He whistled as he took out a lid and placed it on the oil barrel before collecting it. Qin Yun took out a top-grade body, securing talisman, and threw it out, enveloping Zhang Heng's body. Zhang Heng was immediately immobilized. His heart was filled with fear because he knew very well that this was a body-securing talisman. Oh! Zhang Heng shouted with difficulty. "Who? I am the Qin Yun who is about to be defeated by you." Qin Yun chuckled as he charged forward and punched Zhang Heng in the abdomen. He released a violent internal supreme force and executed the flaming light fist. The violent flaming light fist pierced through Zhang Heng's Vajra inner core and shattered it, causing Zhang Heng's face to be filled with pain. Qin Yun. Zhang Heng spat out blood as he shouted in fear. "That's right. I remember you saying before that you wanted to ride my woman. Is that so?" After Qin Yun finished speaking, he slapped Zhang Heng's face. This was the 10,000 horse palm. Although he did not use much strength, it caused Zhang Heng's face to contort. Zhang Heng was in extreme pain. His heart was filled with incomparable resentment and fear. He had never imagined that Qin Yun would appear in such a damned place and eavesdrop on their conversation. Xiao Yanglong's strength is not bad, but his dog-like disciple's strength is too lacking. When Qin Yun saw the pained expression on Zhang Heng's face, he said with a smile, "This way, I can directly challenge Xiao Yanglong. I don't need to challenge a dog like you." As he spoke, he began to extract Zhang Heng's martial spirit. Zhang Heng quickly felt that the shattered Vajra inner core and his martial spirit was being pulled out bit by bit. He cried out in pain, but Qin Yun covered his mouth. Previously, it was rumored that Qin Yun had mastered the art of soul refining, but it was later denied. Now, Zhang Heng was certain that Qin Yun had truly grasped the art of soul refining that made people tremble in fear. "You lackey, do you know how powerful I am?" He, don't worry. Xiao Yanglong and that palace master Yang will only die worse than you." Qin Yun looked at the martial spear he had extracted and could not help but shout. "It's actually the purple gold saber martial spirit. Great! It's perfect for me to refine into my saber." "Thank you, lackey." Zhang Heng's hatred reached its peak. Originally, he had planned to stand up and compete with Qin Yun when Qin Yun challenged Xiao Yanglong. After defeating Qin Yun, he would make a name for himself and show off. But who would have thought that he would die in such a damned place? Qin Yun kept the purple gold saber martial spirit into the soul-sealing pearl and took away a jade pendant from Zhang Heng's body. It was a storage spirit artifact. "I can't die. I'm a genius that the Blue Spirit West Palace has nurtured," Qin Yun said with a sneer. "To hell with you. Go and talk to those geniuses that I killed. You want to defeat me with your current appearance? You even want to hit on my woman." After saying that, he killed Zhang Heng, who was filled with fear and resentment, in a few moves. "With so much beast oil, I can't let Xiao Yanglong and company get away with it." Qin Yun stood near an oil well and condensed a ball of flame into it. Chapter 286. Burning Beastman Mountain ranged the flames that Qin Yun condensed fell into the depths of the oil well and ignited the thick beast oil below. The oil well immediately spewed out a violent flame, like a fire dragon soaring into the sky, into the clouds. All the oil wells were connected because below them was the ocean of beast oil. Not long after, hundreds of oil wells spewed out flames, and the beast oil deep underground was also ignited. Qin Yun had already used the flame cloud steps to leave the area where the oil wells were located. The beast oil could burn Xianyuan steel. After so much beast oil was ignited, the temperature became extremely high. The mountains melted and the surrounding area was enveloped in a heat wave. In less than an hour, the hundreds of mountains above the beast oil had been burned into lava. Furthermore, the fire was still spreading in all directions. Many beastmen roared as they fled. In the depths of the Beastman mountain range, flames soared into the sky. A large amount of beast oil was burning, illuminating more than half of the sky, dyeing the night sky a fiery red. It was an extremely magnificent sight. Qin Yun had already used the flame cloud steps and was flying the air, far away from the Beastman mountain range. At the border of Tianqin, a birdman stood on a boundary stone. The Birdman looked at the sky above the Beastman mountain range in the distance. Flames were spewing out, and he knew that it was on fire. Could it be that human Brad did it? He ignited the beast oil well. This is great. The Beastmen are about to be exterminated. The Birdman was alarmed and could not help but feel fear towards Qin Yun. Qin Yun ran very fast. As he flew through the air, he used the flame cloud steps without any scruples, allowing him to quickly rush out of the Beastman mountain range. Soon, he arrived beside the boundary stone. When the Birdman saw that Qin Yun could fly, he was even more surprised. He thought that Qin Yun had always been walking. "Did you ignite the oil well?" the Birdman asked. "I did it. What's wrong?" Qin Yun said with a chuckle. "What will happen to the Beastmen now?" "I don't know. They might attack the human cities on a large scale, but they will definitely not succeed. The defenses of the human cities are very strong. No matter how many Beastmen there are, they will only be sending themselves to their deaths." The Birdman had a certain understanding of the Beastmen's overall strength. Qin Yun felt that saving this Birdman was not a small harvest. Otherwise, he would not have known about beast oil. The beast oil was extremely important to the Beastmen and the Blue Spirit West Palace. This was especially true for the Beastmen. This was their main source of food, and they also used beast oil to control magic beasts. Beastmen could not control magical beasts, so they could not train magical beasts to attack cities. As for the Blue Spirit West Palace's plan, it was completely ruined. What Qin Yun was happiest about was making Xiao Yonglong and company suffer. That was because the beast oil was a resource that they had discovered. It could make them stronger, and they could even suppress the other four palaces. Without the beast oil, they couldn't rise. Once the Western Palace was allowed to dominate the entire Blue Spirit Star Palace, it would be a disaster for this border region. "Birdman, what's your next plan?" Qin Yun asked with a smile. Seeing the fear in the Birdman's eyes, he said with a smile, "Don't worry, I won't kill you. What good place can I go to now? I can't return to the Beastmen mountain range, nor can I survive in the human world. I can only go to the place where magic beasts gather." The Birdman sighed. Qin Yun took out a beast bag and said, "Why don't you follow me for a while? I'll take you to an area where magical beasts roam." "Is this a human beast bag?" the Birdman said with some disdain. "Yes. However, you can rest assured that I have some beast oil in my hands. It's enough for you to eat. Furthermore, I also have a lot of magical beast meat." Qin Yun threw the beast bag over and said with a smile, "You decide for yourself if you want to go in or not." The Birdman thought for a moment and could only accept it. He opened the beast bag and went in. The beast bag was very small, only the size of a palm. The space inside was a little small, but it was very suitable for beasts to survive. The Birdman was relatively small in size. Therefore, the space inside the beast bag could be considered to be very powerful for him. Qin Yun hurried back to Demon Imperial City because he also felt that the Beastmen would most likely attack in a short period of time. Because of the appearance of the magical beasts, everyone usually hid in the city. Large cities had defensive formations that were extremely sturdy. As long as nothing went wrong, they would be able to withstand the attacks of magical beasts and beastmen. Even if a large number of beastmen entered the human world, it would still be difficult for them to break through the defensive formation. At this moment, the Demon Imperial City had become extremely strict. If one wanted to enter, they would have to go through many checks. Furthermore, the city gates were guarded by martial Dao realm cultivators. Only after Qin Yun's identity was confirmed could he enter. Then, he rushed to the Wang mansion. When Meng Tao saw Qin Yun return, he finally heaved a sigh of relief. This was the crown prince of Tianqin. To run around in such a situation, it made them extremely anxious. "Damn, brat, you almost caused me to be blamed." Meng Failing walked over and pinched Qin Yun's handsome face as she said with a light snort. Qin Yun chuckled as he pinched her jade-like hand and said, "I followed that guy into the Beastman mountain range, and the harvest was very plentiful. Let's talk in the secret chamber." Zhuo Chuan was also there. When he and Meng Tao learned that Qin Yun had entered the Beastman mountain range, They were alarmed and hurriedly entered the secret chamber. Qin Yun pulled Meng failing and followed them in. "What did you discover?" "I was just about to go in and take a look," Zhuo Chuan said. "Beast men controlling magical beasts. The Blue Spirit West Palace is indeed behind this." Qin Yun's body turned cold. "They are plotting a huge scheme." Qin Yun told them what he knew. However, he omitted the Birdman and the matter of the beast oil spewing out. He was worried that Zhuo Chuan and Meng Tao would kill the Birdman. He was also worried that the bottle was something from the demon realm and would be taken away by Zhuo Chuan. There was so much beast oil inside. Qin Yun could not bear to give it to others. "There's actually so much beast oil in the Beastman mountain range," Zhuo Chuan said with a pained expression. "It's all been burned." "What a pity. What a pity. That's a good thing for burning Xianyuan steel." Meng Tao also knew the use of beast oil and exclaimed, "The reason why the Beastmen did not starve to death while hiding in the barren Beastman mountain range was because they had a large amount of beast oil to replenish their energy. Although it was a pity that it was burned, it could cause the Beastmen to be destroyed. Furthermore, the Beastmen could no longer use beast oil to control magical beasts. Most importantly, the Blue Spirit West Palace's scheme will not succeed." "Right. Qin Yun, you did well." Although Zhuo Chuan's heart ached, he knew that there were many benefits to burning the beast oil. "Then, Great Elder, how are you going to reward me?" Qin Yun said with a chuckle. Zhuo Chuan thought for a moment and took out 2 spirit beast cores. He said, "I only have these things on hand. You can make do with them." Since Mo could eat these, Qin Yun accepted them with a chuckle. "Old Meng, your patriarch should be back soon." Zhuo Chuan looked at Meng Tao and said, "The interior of the Beastman mountain range has been burned down. The Beastmen will definitely run out crazily. With their strength, it will be difficult for them to resist the crazy Beastmen. Looks like we won't be able to defend the border. We're going to let the Beastmen pass through." Meng Tao sighed. Qin Yun said with a smile, "It's fine. In any case, if they pass through, they won't pose any threat to our city. What we need to worry about is that the magical beasts will use them as food. This will increase the strength of the magical beasts." When the Beastmen entered the country, they were the same as the magical beasts. They could only wander outside the city and were unable to enter the city. If there weren't a lot of Beastmen, most martial artist squads would be able to fight against them. "Crown Prince, are you going to stay in our demon imperial city for a period of time?" Meng Tao asked. "No, I still have other important matters to attend to," Qin Yun said with a smile. "With so many things happening here, Royal Father will definitely come over. I have to run away first so that he won't capture me to fight the Beastmen with him. I don't have the time right now." Zhuo Chuan asked, "So, are you going back to the Divine Inscription Palace?" Qin Yun shook his head. "No, I have other plans." Meng Failing said, "Qin Yun, you said that you know someone in the Blue Spirit Saint Palace. When will you introduce me?" When she saw that Qin Yun had become so strong, she wanted to become stronger as soon as possible. Otherwise, she would be left far behind by Qin Yun. "When I see her, I'll tell her. When the time comes, I'll get her to look for you." Qin Yun walked out of the secret chamber and looked outside. It was dark now, and it was suitable for him to be on his way. Zhuo Chuan said, "Qin Yun, you have to be careful when you're alone outside. These fellows from the Blue Spirit West Palace wish for nothing more than for you to die. Furthermore, you have so many enemies. When necessary, you must hide your identity well." "I got it. I'm leaving. All you have to be careful." Qin Yun left the manor and ran towards the main door. Zhuo Chuan and company wanted to know where Qin Yun was going. This was because he had just been chased out of the Star Xianwu Academy. He did not go to the Divine Inscription Palace, nor did he return to the Tianqin Imperial City. There was nowhere else he could go. After Qin Yun left the city, he immediately headed for the first town. Yes, he wanted to head to the first town again. In the depths of the first town, there were all sorts of mysteries. Although it had been attacked by a large number of powerful magical beasts, the core area was guarded by humans. In the first town, Qin Yun met Old Tan, who possessed the Royal Spirit Cannon. From him, He learned that in the first district in the deepest part of the first town, there was a very mysterious witch doctor who could concoct a strange medicinal liquid. Soaking in that medicinal liquid could help one step into the martial Dao realm. In a few months, Xiao Yanglong and Yangshe, you would be married. Qin Yun had no other way to increase his strength. He could only enter the first town and see if he could find the mysterious witch doctor. If he couldn't find it, he could only challenge Xiao Yanglong with his cultivation at the 9th level martial body realm. He had 3 Vajra inner cores that could unleash a very strong power. This was also his final trump card. Old Tan and the others said that there is a shelter in the first town. Many powerful humans are gathered there to protect a spring. If I can find this place, I can find Old Tan and the others. With their help, I might be able to find that mysterious witch doctor. Qin Yun thought to himself as he ran. Chapter 287. Back to Magical Beast Town late at night. Qin Yun was running in the air. He was still using the flame cloud steps. Although he had the earth tier movement technique, the mysterious star steps, he did not dare to cultivate it without someone's guidance. It really made his heart itch. Teacher Yang should have done some research on earth tier cultivation techniques. I'll find a chance to get her to teach me. Qin Yun could execute the flame cloud steps to perfection, but he needed to expend his internal energy to execute it. Although it was fast, it consumed a lot of energy and was not practical. He felt that with his current strength, if he were to master a high-level Qigong martial art, his speed would definitely be faster. If not for the fact that he had obtained the mysterious star steps, an earth-tier movement technique, he would have long gone to learn a movement technique that was suitable for him. There was a long distance between the Demon Imperial City and the first town. Furthermore, Qin Yun was very busy during the day, so it would take a long time. In the past, Qin Yun did not dare to walk around during the day. But now, with his cultivation at the 9th level martial body realm, he could relax a lot. Furthermore, Mo was hiding in his clothes and could sense all kinds of magical beasts in the distance. Mo, can you really see the dark lines and remember them? Qin Yun still found it unbelievable because it was an inconceivable matter. For many years, the dark lines could not be seen through. Otherwise, it would have been a mess long ago. Of course it's true. If it wasn't for the fact that it would consume a lot of energy, I could have tried to show you. But after I tried, I will be very hungry and need to eat. It's better if we don't waste it. Big Brother Yun, it's not easy for you to find food for me. Mo hid in Qin Yun's clothes, revealing only her small head as she said softly. Qin Yun was running very steadily, so Mo did not feel any discomfort hiding in his clothes. If you want to see through the complex dark lines, will it consume even more energy? Qin Yun asked again. And if there are many sets of dark lines, then I will need a lot of magical beast crystal eggs. As Mo spoke, her voice gradually became softer, and she said with some embarrassment, I might use up all of your magical beast crystal eggs in one go. Qin Yun had several magical beast crystal eggs in storage. If Mo were to consume them normally, it would be enough for her to eat for more than half a year. If it's really possible, then no matter how many magical beast crystal eggs I consume, it's still worth it. When Qin Yun thought of the might of the royal spirit cannon, he became extremely excited. Even if he used 10 magical beast crystal eggs, it wouldn't be so easy to exchange for a royal-grade spiritual weapon. Moreover, it was a very peculiar royal-grade spirit weapon. Back then, Qin Yun was only at the 7th level martial body realm. He was able to use the royal spirit cannon to knock over a spirit beast. Big Brother Yun, do you have your eyes on a certain spirit artifact and really want to obtain it? Mo laughed tenderly. Smart. That spirit artifact is extremely powerful. If I can really obtain it, it will be even easier for us to obtain magical beast crystal eggs in the future. Qin Yun said confidently. After all, his body-securing talisman was extremely terrifying. It could freeze a spirit beast. Mo chuckled. That's great. At that time, I will definitely memorize the dark patterns very seriously and let Big Brother Yun refine a powerful spirit artifact. Qin Yun also wanted to quickly replicate the royal spirit cannon. However, it was not that easy. In terms of materials and inscriptions, it would bring him great difficulties. He planned that even if he obtained the inscriptions for the royal spirit cannon, he would first refine a high-grade spirit artifact or a top-grade spirit artifact. Right now, it was extremely difficult for him to refine a top-grade spirit artifact. This was mainly because his mental strength was hindering his progress. With his cultivation at the 9th level martial body realm, he was a high-ranked inscription master. Furthermore, he could refine top-grade body securing talismans and spirit bone talismans. This was extremely powerful. Many old high-ranked inscriptionists had lived their entire lives and were only slightly stronger than him. After traveling for 3 days, Qin Yun finally saw the large expanse of ruins. He had already arrived outside the first town. The next part of the journey was the most dangerous. What a big place. Originally, there were many high-rise buildings built here, but they were all destroyed by the magical beasts. Mo's dark green eyes widened as she looked at the spectacular ruins in front of her. Mo was filled with curiosity and amazement towards the human world. This was because she had never seen such a beautiful house in the demon realm. If Qin Yun did not have to hide Mo, he would definitely bring her around to play and let her see the brilliance of the human world. It's very dangerous inside, Mo suddenly said. Qin Yun had already entered the ruins. Outside, it can be considered very safe. The second and first districts are the most terrifying places. There are many powerful, large magical beast hordes there. Qin Yun also became vigilant. Although it was broad daylight, Qin Yun did not hide in the basement like he did last time. Instead, he walked with light steps towards the second district. With his current strength, even in the third district, there was nothing to be afraid of. Only in the second district would there be fast spirit beasts. That was what he was most afraid of. Qin Yun's rest time was very short. He needed to hurry and enter the first district to find Old Tan and company. That way, he would be able to find the witch doctor with him as soon as possible. 3 days later, Qin Yun carefully stepped into the first district. Along the way, it was only during the day that he was on tenterhooks. In the second district, there were many magical beast hordes. Fortunately, Mo had discovered them in advance and guided him around, so he did not encounter any magical beasts. The spiritual energy in the first district was very unusual. It was not only dense, but there was also a strange power contained within the floating spiritual energy. This power could make one feel very spirited and filled with a strong life force. This kind of spiritual energy could be beast oil. Mo shouted. It is indeed very similar to beast oil, but it shouldn't be beast oil. Qin Yun was suspicious at first, but he recalled what Old Tan and company had said. The water from the spring in the first district flowed into the river. If it was beast oil, it would definitely be ignited. Mo said, it might be something similar to beast oil. This aura is really similar to beast oil. That's right. Mo, your perception is very strong. Can you sense which direction this aura is the densest? Qin Yun's eyes lit up as he hurriedly asked. If Mo could sense that direction, then the shelter built by the experts of the first district was most likely there. He wouldn't need to look everywhere. I can, but it consumes a lot of my energy, Mo said in a low voice. It's fine. Since there are so many magical beast crystal eggs now, it's enough for you to eat. You won't starve, Qin Yun said with a smile as he poked her face with his finger. Mo nodded, then closed her eyes and began to sense it. When Mo sensed it, her body released a faint white glow. It made Qin Yun curious once again. He really wanted to know what other secrets this magical fairy had. It was only the size of a palm, and its strength was very weak. However, it had the heaven-defying ability to see through the dark lines. It was truly amazing. Mo took a long time. It was obvious that it was not easy. After about 2 hours, she opened her eyes and pointed to the northeast. She said, "It's over there." Qin looked at the sky. It was only afternoon, and there was still some time before the sky turned dark. After entering the first district, he did not plan to travel during the day. He felt that it would be better to use the shadow power at night. He entered the half-collapsed stone building next to him and entered the basement inside. "Little Mo, are you hungry?" Qin took her out of his clothes and placed her in his hand. He gently stroked her light blue hair. "Hungry?" Mo's face was red as she nodded with watery green eyes. "Then let's go in and eat. Have a good meal." Qin placed Mo into his storage space and said with a smile, "Don't be hungry and hurt your stomach." Mo entered the storage space and happily flew to the side of Spirit Beast Core to absorb the energy inside. Qin closed his eyes as well. Through the 9-yang divine spirit, he absorbed the unique spiritual energy here to recover his strength. After he rested, before the sky brightened, he took out the beast bag and released the Birdman. "Birdman, this place is a bit dangerous. I wonder if you could survive here?" Qin asked. Over the past few days, the Birdman had been eating the beast oil and magical beast meat that Qin had given him. He was living quite comfortably, but staying in the beast bag was very uncomfortable. Beastmen had a sense of danger, and their perception was also very strong. Although they were in the basement, they could tell that this was a very dangerous place. "It is indeed very difficult for me to survive here. This is also a great challenge for me." The Birdman's voice carried a trace of fear. Qin took out a storage bag and handed it to the Birdman. He said, "There's a lot of beast oil inside. It's enough for you to eat for a period of time. You should know how to use your mental power, right? You can use your mental power to extract the beast oil inside." The Birdman was very touched. This was the first time he felt that humans were so pleasing to the eye. "You're such a good person." The Birdman finally understood what it meant to be human. "You're a different kind of beast, man. I'm only so good to you because you've never eaten a human before." Qin smiled. "Actually, it's also because of you that I obtained some beast oil. This can be considered as my gratitude to you." How could he have only obtained some beast oil? He had obtained an unimaginable amount of beast oil. Although Qin said so, the Birdman was still very touched. He hurriedly nodded. "I will definitely not do evil in the future. Because I can fly, I often fly out of the Beastman mountain range to observe the words and actions of humans. I also have a better understanding of humans. I've seen both good and bad people. I want to tell you, there are many spirit beasts here. You must be careful. If you can't stay in this place, you can leave and go to the second district." Qin told the Birdman the details of the first town. After the Birdman understood everything, he bade farewell to Qin and walked out of the basement. He spread his wings and soared into the sunset. Qin waited until the sky was completely dark before he walked out of the basement. He used his shadow power and fused it with the darkness. With light steps, he walked through the dangerous first district. He had only walked for an hour when Mo shouted softly, "Big Brother Yun, there's a magical beast horde up ahead. There are hundreds of magical beasts and 4 or 5 spirit beasts." Chapter 288. Blue Spirit Elite Qin Yun tensed up as he carefully circled around the large horde of magical beasts in front of him. Only after Mo guided him far away from the horde did his heart gradually calm down. "It's really scary. Even from a distance, I feel that it's very scary." Mo also felt a lingering fear as her face was covered in sweat. "It should be fine now." Qin heaved a long sigh and said, "If not for you, I might have walked over. By the time I realized that it was a large horde of magical beasts, it would already be too late." The magical beasts in the first district were very vigilant. If someone approached, they would immediately discover them and rush over at an extremely fast speed. Therefore, in the first district, the earlier one knew that there were magical beasts in front of them, the better. Although Qin had circled around the large magical beast horde, Mo did not relax. She frowned as she carefully sensed the situation around her. She had a heavy burden on her shoulders, so she had to maintain her vigilance at all times. Qin Yun could only sense the magical beast nearby. He could not sense any further. Therefore, Mo's help was great, allowing him to avoid the large magical beast horde. On the first night he entered the first district, he had encountered 3 magical beast hordes. Only one of them was extremely large, and the other 2 were not that large. The magical beasts in the first district are indeed numerous and powerful. Qin Yun looked at the white sky in the distance and began searching for a basement to hide. During the day, he could not use the shadow force to conceal his aura. It was very easy for him to be discovered by magical beasts with sharp spiritual senses. It was extremely dangerous. The first district was not small, and there were a lot of magical beasts. It was impossible to travel quickly, and it would not be easy to reach the shelter. In the basement, Qin Yun set up a flag array to conceal his aura. Then, he took out a furnace and began crafting body securing talismans. What he was making now were all top-grade body securing talismans. They were mainly used to deal with spirit beasts. If I had the help of a martial Dao realm cultivator, then my body securing talisman would be even stronger. Qin Yun felt somewhat regretful. Previously, it was Lan Fengjin or Xiao Xianqin who had helped to inject energy. They were in the martial Dao realm and could make the power of the body securing talisman stronger. After he became familiar with the mental resonance Xian Pen, the speed at which he carved the body securing talisman became faster and faster. In addition, he was already very familiar with the body securing inscription. As long as he held the mental resonance Xian Pen, he didn't need to deliberately recall the body securing inscription, and he could easily and smoothly carve the body securing talisman. Because he often carved body securing inscriptions, he had formed a habit. This was the pinnacle of inscription, a realm that many inscription masters pursued. Qin Yun made top-grade body securing talismans. When he was tired, he would rest. After resting, he would continue making them. This allowed him to quickly pass through the day. It's dark. Qin Yun finally made it through the day. He had also refined 2 top-grade body securing talismans. These talismans could lock down spirit beasts. The more, the better. Just like that, Qin Yun spent the past few days like this. During the day, he would hide and craft talismans. At night, he would carefully rush to the place where the special spiritual energy was released. It's been 5 days since I entered Division 1. Qin Yun walked for another night. When he saw 9 balls of red light appear in the distant sky, he knew that day had arrived. Just as he was about to enter the basement, he suddenly sensed many powerful auras. They were the auras of humans. Human beast hunting team? There are quite a few of them in the martial Dao realm. They are very strong. Qin Yun hurriedly put away Mo, and flashed into an abandoned shop. He did not see who those people were. He only knew that they were heading in his direction. The place where Qin Yun was at was a main street. The luxurious shops on both sides of the street had been severely damaged. There were many cracks on the ground of the street. After many intense battles, Qin Yun, who was hiding in the shop, was extremely nervous. This was because the group of people who had suddenly arrived seemed to be coming for him. Qin Yun tightly gripped more than 10 top-grade body securing talismans. This was the only method he had to deal with a martial Dao realm cultivator. I'm getting closer. Why is their aura so familiar? Qin Yun's mental force was cultivated through the 9 Yang divine spirit. Later on, he cultivated the Star Yang Heart Sutra and condensed a spirit star crystal. This allowed his perception to be extremely astonishing, allowing him to sense familiar auras. As the auras got closer and closer, Qin Yun was alarmed. That was because he was very familiar with a few of them. Boss Xie's imposing sword aura. He was overjoyed as he ran out of the shop. He saw more than 10 people in blue robes. Indeed, Qin Yun saw many familiar faces. Xie Wufeng, Ho Xingfeng, Xiao Yuelan, Yang Shiyu, and Lan Fengjin were people he was very familiar with. In addition, there was another person who affected his mood. It was Xiao Yang Long. He could also tell that this was a powerful team from Blue Spirit Star Palace, and they were all very young. Other than the old man leading the team and Ho Xingfeng, the others were all young. Brother Yun, it's actually you. When Xia Wufeng saw Qin Yun, he was very happy. He hurriedly walked over and patted Qin Yun on the shoulder. Although Xia Wufeng only had one arm, his strength was getting stronger and stronger. Perhaps it was because he cultivated the way of the sword, and he was a sword cultivator. His progress was very fast. Boss Xia, you seem to have become stronger again. Amazing. When Qin Yun came into close contact with him, he felt that Xia Wufeng had become much stronger. This is nothing. You're the powerful one. You can come to such a place by yourself. When Xia Wufeng saw that Qin Yun was not with anyone else, he felt that it was too dangerous for him. Xiao Yuelon walked over and pinched Qin Yun. You rascal, what are you doing here? It's too dangerous. Even a small team like ours has to be very cautious in this place. Xiao Yang Long coldly snorted and said, We thought it was a lone magical beast. We didn't expect it to be this arrogant idiot. Qin Yun, did you come in alone? Lan Fengjin asked with a frown. She thought that Qin Yun was with Old Tan and company. If it was just Qin Yun, it would be too dangerous. Of course, I was chased out of the Star Xianwu Academy, so I came here to try my luck and see if I can find that shelter. Qin Yun said indifferently. Yang Shi Yu said, Qin Yun, come with us. It'll be safer this way. Brother Yun, follow us. We'll bring you out of the first town. It's really dangerous for you to wander around here by yourself. Xia Wufeng also said. When Xiao Yang Long heard that, his expression changed, and he hurriedly said, He's just a burden. We can't bring him along. He looked at the white-haired old man and said, Elder Xianjian, you must not let this guy join our team. This will only harm us. Xiao Yang Long, you're a dignified chief disciple of the Blue Spirit West Palace. How can you be so narrow-minded? Can't you let him follow us? Xiao Yuelon was slightly angry as she said coldly, Elder Xianjian, if you don't let Qin Yun follow us, then I'm willing to leave the team and be with Qin Yun. Xia Wufeng said with a resolute expression. I'll follow Qin Yun too. Yang Shi Yu glared at Xiao Yang Long coldly. Lan Fengjin said, Elder Xianjian, you guys can go back by yourselves. I want to stay behind to accompany Qin Yun. Ho Xingfeng also came to Qin Yun's side. You bunch of idiots. When Xiao Yang Long saw Yang Shi Yu protecting Qin Yun in such a manner, he was immediately enraged. The old man said indifferently, All right, let him follow us. He is at the 9th level martial body realm, and his strength is not bad. I personally witnessed his trial back then. Hearing Elder Xianjian's words, Xiao Yuelon and company heaved a sigh of relief. However, Qin Yun was unhappy. He had gone through so much trouble to come here to find that shelter. Now that he had to follow them out, wouldn't that mean that he was wasting his time? I'm not with that scum Xiao Yang Long, so I won't disturb you, Qin Yun said with a smile. Of course, he knew that Xiao Yuelon and company were worried about his safety. Qin Yun, if you insult me again, I'll kill you. Xiao Yang Long said angrily. Scum, are you here to kill me? Qin Yun chuckled and said, Come on, I'm right here. Xiao Yang Long wanted to go over, but when he saw Xia Wufeng and Lan Fengjin's terrifying killing intent, he did not go forward. Lan Fengjin was a mysterious saint, and Xia Wufeng was a rare sword cultivator. They were not people that he, Xiao Yang Long, could deal with. Naughty brat. Stop messing around and follow us obediently. Xiao Yuelon pinched Qin Yun's waist and snorted softly. Yuelon, I have something important to do here. I'm not messing around. Qin Yun said with a serious expression. Boss Xia, teacher, Sister Lan, Senior Ho, thank you for your concern. If I can run in by myself, I'll be fine. I have a partner here. I've joined a very strong team. Qin Yun was afraid that they would not believe him. He said to Lan Fengjin, Sister Lan, you saw that team last time. It's Old Tan and the others. With them leading me, I'll be very safe. However, you must keep an eye on that scum, Xiao Yang Long. don't let him leave the team. The moment he leaves the team, he might be chasing after me. Xiao Yanglong was filled with anger. He wanted to slap Qin Yun to death, but there was nothing he could do. All right then, take care of yourself. Xiao Yuelon still believed in Qin Yun. A few times before, she had supported Qin Yun in doing things that others thought were impossible. You have to be careful. Yang Shiyu also warned him. Xiao Wufeng patted Qin Yun on the shoulder and said, since Brother Yin already has his own plans, we won't force you. If you can't beat him, you have to run. Do you remember? Lan Fengji knocked on Qin Yun's head. You must live well. When the time comes, challenge Xiao Yanglong and defeat him. Xiao Yanglong snorted disdainfully. Dream on. You guys can leave. I'll wait here for my friends. Qin Yun said. Xiao Yuelon whispered a few more warnings. After all, Qin Yun was her husband, and she was still very worried about him. Not long after, Elder Xian Jian left with the Blue Spirit West Palace team. With their strength, dealing with small and medium-sized magical beasts shouldn't be a problem. Qin Yun thought to himself as he watched them leave. Actually, he wanted to join in as well. This way, he wouldn't have to go around the magical beast horde and could directly fight them. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.